Chapter 1319. Then, the group flew toward Star Point Peak like a shooting star. At this moment, Star Point Peak was very quiet. The ninth elder and the others had gone back. Wang Li and the others were also cultivating in the college, so there was no one on the mountain. However, Lin Xian didn't mind at all. With a flash of his body, he brought everyone down and walked into his cave abode. "Qingqing, why are you here? Is there something urgent?" Lin Xian asked. "Can't I see you if there's nothing urgent?" "No, it's because I have to go out soon. I'm afraid I won't be back for a while." "Go out? Where are you going?" Morong Qingqing asked. "Tianan region, my hometown. I have some urgent matters to attend to," Lin Xian said. "Is she going too?" Morong Qingqing glanced at Luo Bingshan beside her. "Yes, she's going with me." Lin Xian did not hide it. "Then I'll go too," Morong Qingqing said quickly after she heard that Luo Bingshan was going too. She glared at Lin Xian and said quickly, "Don't mess around." Lin Xian walked to Morong Qingqing and comforted her. "I really have something urgent to attend to this time. I'm afraid I'll get into a conflict with the king. It's too dangerous for you to go. Why don't you stay here and wait for me to come back?" "A conflict with a king? Is there a king in Tianan region?" This time, Morong Qingqing was really stunned. As far as she knew, Tianan region's martial arts were not developed. It was impossible for a king to exist. It's hard to explain it in a short time. In short, a king has appeared there. Lin Xian shook his head. "All the more reason for me to go. How can I let you take the risk by yourself?" Morong Qingqing said, "Besides, I'm not a burden. In terms of strength, I'm stronger than him." Morong Qingqing glanced at Luo Bingshan again. Indeed, Morong Qingqing's strength was not weaker than Luo Bingshan's, and as the little princess of the House of Kings, she had countless life-saving means in her hands. In addition, Lin Xian also had a king's killing formation. So, as long as he didn't face the Black Dragon sect's leader, there shouldn't be much of a problem. All right. In the end, Lin Xian nodded in agreement. On Luo Bingshan's side, in addition to herself, there were also 3 5-star assassins. These 3 5-star assassins were extremely loyal, and they were definitely reliable. Moreover, their cultivation levels were already at the 9th heaven, and they could even assassinate 9th heaven peak stage cultivators. It could be said that he was incomparably powerful. As the head venerate, Luo Bingshan had the strength to assassinate a half-step king. Therefore, although Lin Xian didn't bring many people with him, every one of them was a peerless expert. The next question was how to get to the southern heaven region. He couldn't possibly fly there on foot. That would be too tiring and would take too much time. Lin Xian's gaze turned and finally fixed on the crimson dragon. He chuckled. "Ruzalong, why don't you carry us there?" "Don't even think about it. Brat, I won't become your mount." The crimson dragon shook its head and bared its fangs. "Forget it. I'll go to the academy and ask." Lin Xian shrugged and prepared to go to Senmu College to ask. He remembered that the True Spirit Palace seemed to sell spirit boats. His figure flickered, and he flew toward the True Spirit Palace. Soon, Lin Xian arrived above the True Spirit Palace and quickly descended. When the surrounding Senmu College disciples saw Lin Xian, they immediately screamed, "Lin Xian, it's Lin Xian! It's really him. I heard that he killed Prince Ling Feng. He's definitely my idol. He's so handsome." The surrounding disciples screamed, and Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't expect to be so famous among these disciples. Even the law-enforcing elder in the True Spirit Palace quickly came out and welcomed Lin Xian inside. This caused an even greater commotion among the surrounding disciples. One had to know that it was always the disciples who entered the True Spirit Palace respectfully. They had never seen an elder come out to welcome them. Lin Xian was definitely the first person to welcome Senma College since its opening. Elder, I want to buy a spirit boat, the highest grade one. Lin Xian didn't beat around the bush and directly stated his purpose. The best spirit boat here is a half-Earth rank artifact, but it contains the remains of an Earth rank artifact. Soon, the true Spirit Palace elder found the information about the spirit boat and handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian glanced at it and found that it was very good in all aspects, especially its speed. Moreover, it contained a fragment of an Earth rank artifact, which could be said to be extremely powerful and of the highest grade at present. Okay, I'll take it. Lin Xian used a newly acquired Earth rank technique to exchange for the spirit boat. The spirit boat was green all over, and exquisite inscriptions covered the entire body of the boat. When not in use, it was only the size of a palm, but once spiritual power was injected, it would become a huge spirit boat that was 500 meters long. Lin Xian took the spirit boat with satisfaction and returned to Stellar Point Peak. Next, he and the Crimson Dragon began to modify the spirit boat, mainly adding some powerful defensive formations to strengthen the body of the boat. The process was carried out while flying. Because of the urgency of the matter, Lin Xian left with the group after receiving the spirit boat. During the flight, he and the Crimson Dragon began to work on the defensive formations. Murong Qingqing, Luo Bingshan, and the others were also cultivating to prepare for the upcoming battle. The spirit boat was very strange. It could reach a maximum of 500 meters, but there were not many people now, so it could only be a few dozen meters long. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and it was very fast. Its speed was definitely at the peak of the 9th tier, and unlike martial artists, the spirit boat could maintain a high speed all the time. This saved Lin Xian a lot of trouble. Even so, the road ahead was still very long, because this was 2 different continents. Because everyone was cultivating, they didn't feel bored along the way. Lin Xian was even more enthusiastic, and at the same time he cultivated many martial arts and techniques to increase his cultivation strength to the maximum. This was because he knew that a fierce battle was waiting for him, because the Black Dragon sect was more powerful than Prince Lingfeng. Half a year. This trip back to the Tianan region took a full half a year. This was also under the condition that they had the supreme grade spirit boat. If they flew by themselves in addition to the consumption of energy, it would probably take more than twice as long. In half a year, everyone's cultivation had increased a lot. Among them, Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan's aura had become more profound. Lin Xian's improvement was even greater. First of all, he could now condense 4 void-shattering fingers, and he could also use the first 5 of the 9 changes of the firmament, and he could also fuse them with his body. What made him even happier was that he could already complete the 5th sky spill visualization picture. This meant that his soul power had increased greatly, and it would be difficult for anyone below the king realm to be his opponent. The increase in his soul power, in addition to the improvement in his cultivation, allowed the recovery of the great dragon sword soul to be strengthened further, and it was now at the middle stage of the 9th tier. Now that Lin Xian's strength had increased comprehensively, if he fought Prince Lingfeng in his current state, he could kill him even without using the great dragon sword soul. Chapter 1320. Kid, that should be the Tianan region you were talking about. The Crimson Dragon looked ahead and said in a deep voice, "Indeed, it's not a boundless sea, but a vast land." Murong Qingqing also looked ahead and frowned. He could clearly feel that the spirit veins and spirit qi in this land were far inferior to those in the Tianwu continent. This was also why the warriors in the Tianan region were not as strong as those in the Tianwu continent. The environment here was not good. However, a king had appeared here. This was too unbelievable. One had to know that there had not been a new king in the Tianwu continent for 1,000 years. One could imagine how difficult it was to become a king. However, a king had appeared in this remote Tianan region. It had to be said that this was simply too inconceivable. The blood qi below is very thick. It seems that many people have died in this land, Luo Bingshan said coldly. Indeed, Lin Xian and the others had just entered the Tianan region when they felt the blood qi below. It should be formed by the blood of the dead warriors. Because it contained resentment, it did not dissipate for a long time. Let's go back to the Xia country first. Lin Xian's expression was serious as he quickly changed the direction of the spirit boat. He wanted to go back and save the Lin family before considering how to deal with the Black Dragon sect. The Tianwu Kingdom was once a big country in the Tianan region. The elixirs here were very developed. There were many forces like the Medicine King Valley, the Elixir Garden, and the Alchemy Guild. However, at this moment, the entire Tianshan Kingdom was lifeless. Even the air was filled with a thick aura of despair. It turned out that the Alchemy Guild, the largest force in the Tianwu Kingdom, had been overthrown. Now, there was a large black flag on top of the original building. There was a black dragon waving its fangs and claws in the wind. The people who lived in this building were not alchemists, but martial artists dressed in black robes. Every one of them had a thick, bloody aura around them. It seemed that they had killed many people. That was why they had such a thick, murderous aura. One of them, a bald man, sat boldly at the top of the table. His physique was strong and his blood was vigorous. His entire body emitted a strong aura. The surrounding warriors looked at the bald man with envy in their eyes. This was because the bald man was a venerable and a fourth heaven venerable at that. Although such a person was nothing in the Tianwu continent, in the Tianan region, he was an extremely powerful existence. When Lin Xian left the Tianan region, the strongest faction in the entire Tianan region, the Martial Meng Alliance, only had 13 supremacies. Including some hidden powerhouses, there were only a few dozen venerables in the entire Tianan region. The others were all martial artists of the 3 spirit realms. Back then, the strongest person in Tianshan country was only in the spirit detecting realm. Compared to venerable ones, they were worlds apart. Therefore, they could not contend against them at all. Therefore, it didn't take long for the entire Heavenly Mountain Kingdom to fall. At this moment, the bald man said with a ferocious expression, "This group of damned old men, are they itching for a beating recently? Why is the speed of refining pills so slow? Go, teach them a lesson for me. Let them know about the Black Dragon sect. We can't waste a single second. Boss, it's not that we don't want to use our methods. It's just that those old men are too stubborn, especially that old man called D. Quebec. He's like a stubborn donkey. He won't cooperate with us at all. I think we should just kill him. We can use him to intimidate the entire Tianshan country." "Old man DK? You mean that person from the Medicine King Valley?" The bald man sneered. "I remember him. Last time he didn't even give me face. If it wasn't for the fact that he's good at refining pills, I would have killed him with my blade. But now it seems that we can't let him live. How about this? We'll execute him in front of everyone tomorrow. It'll intimidate the entire Tianshan country. I don't believe that those alchemists will dare to resist our Black Dragon sect." "Yes." In the main hall, the warriors under him moved quickly. There were venerables among them, but most of them were only in the spirit detecting realm. However, with the venerables around, dealing with the alchemists of Tianshan country was a piece of cake. On the other side of Tianshan country, countless alchemists were trapped in a valley, refining pills day and night. In the depths of the valley, there were more than 10 white-haired old men. These people were the best alchemists in Tianshan country. Among them, the president of the Alchemy Guild, the pavilion master of the Pill King Garden, old man DK from the Medicine King Valley, and some elders were all here. In the past, the Medicine King Valley and the Pill King Garden were fighting to the death. But now, there was no hatred between them, because they were all prisoners. These people all had injuries on their bodies, but they weren't fatal. They must have been left behind when they resisted the Black Dragon sect. Damn the Black Dragon sect, they're too despicable. They're actually keeping me as a slave to refine pills for them. One of the old men clenched his fists, trembling with anger. So what if they're angry? There are many venerables among them, and the highest among us is only in the spirit-detecting realm. We can't resist at all. Many people were in despair because the difference in strength between the two sides was too great. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Damn it, I don't believe it. How did they get so many venerables overnight? This is impossible. Yeah, although the Black Dragon sect was strong in the past, they could only fight against the Martial Alliance. They couldn't be so strong. Otherwise, the Tianan region would have fallen a few hundred years ago. Everyone gritted their teeth, very confused. The president of the Alchemy Guild also sighed. I've received news that a type of crystal was found in Xia country. It can greatly increase a warrior's cultivation in an instant. I think those people from the Black Dragon sect must have used this kind of crystal to have such a cultivation. Hearing this, everyone sighed. The rise of the Black Dragon sect had only been less than a year. Although the Black Dragon sect had recovered, they had the Martial Alliance on their side. In addition to other large and small forces, both sides had been in a stalemate. But in less than a year, the Black Dragon sect's strength suddenly increased rapidly, and a large number of venerables appeared. Not to mention them, even the Martial Alliance couldn't resist. So, in just half a year, the entire Tianan region was instantly controlled by the Black Dragon sect. And these people were also reduced to prisoners, refining pills for the Black Dragon sect's disciples all day long. Xia country? An old man sighed. This reminds me of someone. I wonder how he's doing? Old man DK, why are you still lamenting at a time like this? Someone sighed. With his talent, he should be able to survive this battle. Old man DK whispered again. Old man DK, who are you talking about? Who is it that you can't forget at this time? Everyone asked. Chapter 13:21. With his talent, he should be able to survive this battle. DK whispered again. Old DK, who are you talking about? Who is it that you can't forget at this time? Everyone asked. Do you remember that a few years ago there was a young man from the Great Xia who won first place in our Tian Shan Kingdom's Elixir King competition? Now that you mention it, I do remember him. Many elders nodded. The president of the Alchemy Guild was even more surprised. Are you talking about that young man called Lin Xian? With the president of the Alchemy Guild's reminder, the elders around him all remembered. There was indeed a young man who had won first place in the Elixir King competition back then, but in the end everyone sighed. So what if he was first place back then? In this world, it's not certain if he can survive. Everyone shook their heads, and DK sighed as well. He was once the Valley Master of the Medicine King Valley and had received help from Lin Xian. His leg was cured by Lin Xian. Now, he only hoped that Lin Xian could survive. Just as they were talking, there was a commotion in front of them. Several lights flashed in the void like lightning and instantly arrived above the valley. What? It's the people from the Black Dragon sect. They're here again. All the alchemists in the valley looked up. When they saw the warriors in black robes, they trembled in fear. The president of the Alchemy Guild also frowned. That's not right. It's not the day to hand over the elixir yet. Why are these people here early? Is there something else? 3 people floated in the void. One of them was a man with triangular eyes. He shouted coldly, DK, get over here! Hearing this, the other alchemists trembled. The president of the Alchemy Guild looked even more gloomy. Among them, the president of the Alchemy Guild stood out and said in a low voice, Why are you looking for DK? Who are you to speak here? Get lost. The man with triangular eyes roared ferociously. He stretched out a huge palm and slapped the president of the Alchemy Guild away. Boom! The Alchemy Guild master flew backward and crashed into the mountain wall behind him. making a violent trembling sound. Then he fell to the ground and vomited blood. The triangular-eyed man sneered, "Do you think you're some kind of president? How dare you show off in front of me? Remember, you are now slaves, a bunch of dogs. You can only wag your tail at me. DK, you old geezer, did you come here on your own? Or do you want me to take you back?" The triangular-eyed man had a ferocious look on his face as his cold gaze locked onto the ground below. The triangular-eyed man had a strong aura. He was already at the first heaven of the venerable realm. The strongest alchemists in the valley were only at the spirit detecting realm, and most of them were only at the spirit transformation realm, so they couldn't resist this aura at all. DK also sighed. "Don't attack my companions anymore. I'll go with you." Seeing that he had intimidated these alchemists, the triangular-eyed man revealed a satisfied smile. Then he waved his hand, and the two men behind him immediately stepped forward. They took out 2 iron chains and quickly threw them out. The chain was like a venomous snake. It instantly wrapped around DK's body and dropped him into the sky. Seeing this, the surrounding people felt despair, and the disciples of the Medicine King Valley were even more furious. DK was their valley master, and he was being humiliated like this. However, although they were angry, they didn't dare to say anything because they didn't have the strength to fight against the Black Dragon sect. If they rashly went up, they would only be courting death. On the other hand, the triangular-eyed man had a look of resentment. He hung DK in the air, and then his cold voice resounded in all directions. "DK has gone against the Black Dragon sect many times, and he still doesn't repent. So now the Black Dragon sect will punish him." At this point, the triangular-eyed man's smile became even more ferocious. "Tomorrow at noon, we will execute him in the Pill King Square. Whoever dares to go against the Black Dragon sect will end up like this." "What? Execution?" Hearing this, the entire valley was shocked, especially the disciples of the Medicine King Valley, who let out cries of despair. Alchemists were different from ordinary warriors. Once they were captured, they were basically enslaved to refined pills. It was rare for them to be executed. This was especially so for alchemists like D. Quebec. Because of their high level, they were rarely executed. But now, the other party wanted to execute him. It had to be said that this was beyond everyone's expectations. Haha, what's there to be surprised about? He's just a spirit detecting alchemist. At most, he can refine some pills for ordinary sect members. Do you really think that the higher-ups of the Black Dragon sect need your pills? Seeing the commotion, the triangular-eyed man sneered disdainfully. Hearing this, everyone felt a sense of despair. Indeed, the pills they refined were for the disciples of the Black Dragon sect. The pills above supremacy were all provided by the Divine Pill Hall, one of the 8 halls of the Black Dragon sect. Therefore, in the eyes of the Black Dragon sect, DK was not important at all. "Take him away. Tomorrow I'll cut him up piece by piece." With that, the 2 burly men carried DK and quickly left the valley. Damn it! Damn it! The Alchemy Guild president got up from the ground. Ignoring his injuries, he hammered the ground fiercely. The others also had looks of despair. Soon, the news that DK was going to be executed spread throughout the entire Tianshan country, causing an uproar in Tianshan country. Before this, DK was a famous alchemist master in Tianshan country. Now, however, he was going to be executed. The next day, the Elixir King Square was packed with people. DK was nailed to the void by 5 chains. Once the time was up, the disciples of the Black Dragon sect would attack him. At that moment, a huge spirit boat flew over quickly in the sky. It was Lin Xian's spirit boat. Ever since he arrived in the Tianan region, he had been unable to calm down, especially the places he had passed through in the past few days. They were all places he had stayed in before. Tianshan country should be below, Lin Xian muttered as he looked at the ground below. Why are there so many people gathered below? Is there something going on? The Crimson Dragon looked down with a puzzled expression. Lin Xian also looked down. Soon he frowned, and even a hint of anger appeared on his face. Murong Qingqing and the falling ice mountain also noticed what was happening below. Seeing Lin Xian's terrible expression, Murong Qingqing asked with concern, "What's wrong?" Lin Xian did not speak. He controlled the spirit boat and let it float in the sky. Then he said in a deep voice, "Wait here first. I'll go down and take care of something." After saying that, his body swayed and flew down quickly like a peerless divine sword. Chapter 13:22. Lin Xian's body swayed, and like a peerless divine sword, he quickly flew down. Let's go and watch the show. When the Crimson Dragon saw Lin Xian going down, it waved its dragon claws and controlled the spiritual boat to fly down. It had set up many formations on the spiritual boat. Apart from defense, there were also formations to hide its aura. Therefore, at this moment, it controlled the spiritual boat to quickly shrink and float in the air. As long as it wanted to, the people below would definitely not notice them. This was perfect for them to watch from a close distance. Below, countless people gathered in the Elixir King Square. These people were all martial artists from the Tian Shan Kingdom. At this moment, they were looking ahead angrily. At the front, DK was hung in midair. His body was covered in wounds. It seemed that he had suffered a lot of torture last night. Beside him stood the triangular-eyed man with a shiny long saber in his hand. It seemed that he was the executioner today. The triangular-eyed man looked at the time and felt that it was about time. He immediately tightened his grip on the long saber in his hand. The other party's ferocious voice was also heard. "Don't worry, I won't kill you all at once. I'll skin you alive piece by piece. I want everyone to know the consequences of resisting the Black Dragon sect." As soon as he finished speaking, a saber light flashed, and the long saber ruthlessly slashed DK's body. Immediately, blood spurted out and dyed the sky red. The triangular-eyed man was a first heaven supremacy after all. He had very precise control of his strength. Therefore, when the saber slashed DK's body, it was painful, but it did not threaten his life at all. When the people in the square saw this scene, they immediately clenched their fists. Countless people were furious and wanted to rush up, but they were firmly stopped by the people from the Black Dragon sect. The Black Dragon sect was extremely powerful now, so the martial artists in the square could not resist at all. They could only watch as DK was executed. The triangular-eyed man slashed with his saber and laughed sinisterly. In the next moment, the long saber in his hand fell again. However, at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened as if dark clouds had covered the sun. At this moment, everyone subconsciously looked up at the sky. Then their expressions changed drastically as if they had seen the most terrifying thing. Even the martial artists from the Black Dragon sect were frightened and trembling all over. The triangular-eyed man's face was even paler, and the long saber in his hand stopped in midair, because in the sky above, a huge palm was rapidly pressing down. The palm blotted out the sky like a huge black mountain, causing the entire void to collapse. This palm was too terrifying. It was like the hand of a demon god, causing everyone to suffocate. The triangular-eyed man was even more terrified because he realized that the palm seemed to be coming for him. Scram! Gritting his teeth, the triangular-eyed man roared and slashed out with the long saber in his hand. In an instant, it turned into a bolt of lightning and slashed toward the void. As a first-rank venerable, he had always been high and mighty in the heavenly mountain kingdom. No one could stop him. But now he realized that he was wrong. This was because the saber light he had slashed out had not caused any damage to the black palm at all. Not only that, but it was also easily torn apart. Soon the palm arrived before him. Boom! His palm slammed into the ground, instantly enveloping the area where the triangular-eyed man was. The ground sank, and countless cracks appeared in the square, spreading in all directions. The triangular-eyed man was turned into a pile of rotten meat and couldn't be more dead. A pitch-black crater appeared on the ground, and the pungent smell of blood gradually spread in all directions. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They did not expect the triangular-eyed man to die just like that. He was killed by a single palm. It was too unbelievable. One had to know that in their eyes, a first-rank venerable was a godlike existence that could not be resisted. However, such a person had been killed so easily. Who did it? So powerful. The Black Dragon cult warriors were both shocked and furious as they looked at the sky. Who is it? Get out here. How dare you attack a member of the Black Dragon cult? You're dead meat. An old man roared crazily. He was also a member of the Black Dragon cult, and his strength was on par with the triangular-eyed man. However, at this moment he was extremely terrified because he did not see who it was. However, in the next moment, everyone was shocked because a figure quickly descended from the sky. It was a young man with a handsome face. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his entire body emitted a powerful aura. His gaze was like a sword light, causing everyone to tremble. It's you. You were the one who attacked just now. The old man from the Black Dragon cult gritted his teeth and asked. Although he was also afraid of the other party's strength, he could not embarrass the Black Dragon cult in front of so many people. Men, attack! Kill him! Immediately, countless warriors rushed into the sky. Many of them were first-rank venerables, and there were also countless fifth-rank spirit detecting realm cultivators. There were hundreds of them densely packed together. There were so many experts in the square. One could imagine that the Black Dragon cult strength was above the entire Tianan region. However, these people were nothing in Lin Xian's eyes. Lin Xian stood in the air and did not attack at all. He only snorted coldly. However, this voice contained an endless murderous aura and pressure. Immediately, the hundreds of cultivators who flew over from all directions exploded and died. Bang, 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 bang. A series of explosions sounded. One by one, the warriors exploded into a bloody mist. The pungent smell of blood instantly filled the square. What? They're dead. The entire square was dumbfounded. There was not a single sound. What kind of method was that? Just a voice alone caused hundreds of warriors to explode and die. There was no resistance at all. One had to know that there were many venerables. This method was too heaven-defying. It was simply a divine skill. The black-robed old man's scalp went numb. He screamed as if he had gone crazy. Who are you? Who are you? He was scared. He was really scared. This was because even their hall master did not have such a method. However, the other party, a young man who was only about 20 years old, had such a heaven-defying method. He did not dare to resist at all. Lin Xian did not say anything. With a flick of his finger, a sword qi rushed out and pierced through the old man like lightning. Poof! The black-robed old man's glabella was stabbed and he fell to the ground dead. He died with doubts. He did not know who the mysterious young man in front of him was. Run! The surviving disciples of the Black Dragon cult were terrified. Many of them even went crazy. In the face of such combat strength, they could not resist at all. They could only turn around and run. However, Lin Xian did not plan to let them go at all. These people were too evil. He did not know how many people they had killed. Therefore, he stretched out his 5 fingers and shot out hundreds of sword qi. Each of them turned into a long rainbow and accurately killed the remaining warriors of the Black Dragon cult. In an instant, hundreds of people were cut in half. Their corpses fell to the ground. The entire Elixir King Square was dyed red. It was like hell on earth. Chapter 13:23. None of the warriors in the square were frightened. Instead, they clenched their fists and looked extremely excited. They looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a god. Their eyes were filled with endless admiration and gratitude. Lin Xian was their savior. The dead black dragon sect disciples were demons and deserved to be killed. Many of them could not control their anger. They took out their swords and slashed at the corpses on the ground. More than one person did that. One could imagine how many sins the Black Dragon sect had committed in Tianshan country and even the entire Tianan region. Meanwhile, in the void, DK, who was hanging by countless chains, was completely stunned. He had thought that today would be his doomsday and did not plan to live anymore. He would rather die than live a hellish life. However, what he didn't expect was that at the moment before his death, a shocking change occurred. A handsome young man with fluttering black hair killed the triangular-eyed man with one punch. He also killed hundreds of Black Dragon sect disciples in an instant. It was like a legend to him. However, when he saw the young man's face, he was even more shocked. He was completely stunned. Although almost 5 years had passed and the young man had grown up, he could still vaguely see the young man's face. Lin Xian, you're Lin Xian. DK trembled with excitement. 2 streams of tears flowed down from his old eyes. He did not expect the godlike person who had descended on the square to save him was Lin Xian. Yesterday, he was still lamenting how he missed Lin Xian. He did not expect Lin Xian to really appear today. Could it be that the heavens had sent him to save Tianshan country? Lin Xian looked at the old figure in the sky and felt extremely emotional. A few years ago, he had treated the old man's leg. Not only that, he was also very familiar with the Elixir King Square. This was where he had won first place in the Elixir King tournament and obtained the White Dragon Soaring Elixir. It was because of that elixir that he had the Great Dragon Sword Soul. It could be said that this was a very important turning point for him. His gaze condensed into 2 rays of sword light that shot into the sky, instantly shattering the chains. Following this, Lin Xian waved his hand and DK landed beside him. Lin Xian, it's really you. DK trembled with excitement as he watched the miraculous scene unfold before him. It's me. Lin Xian nodded and took out a pill from his storage ring. Don't say anything. Take this pill. After receiving the pill, DK was even more shocked. Just from the fragrance alone, he knew that this was definitely a divine medicine. Perhaps even the Divine Pill Hall, one of the 8 great halls of the Black Dragon cult, would not be able to refine such a pill. However, looking at Lin Xian's appearance, he seemed very casual and normal. Could it be that he had so many precious medicinal pills in his hands? DK was very confused, but he still swallowed it quickly. In the next moment, his entire body began to tremble because he could clearly feel that all the injuries on his body had healed. Not only that, but his damaged body had also instantly recovered to its peak. What kind of pill is this? It's too miraculous. Looking at the excited DK, Lin Xian sighed inside. This was just an ordinary Tier 7 medicinal pill, but in these people's eyes it was a divine medicine. It seemed they really hadn't had a good time these past few years. Although DK was excited, he didn't forget about the important matter at hand. He hastily grabbed Lin Xian and said, Lin Xian, hurry and save the Heavenly Mountain Empire. Originally, he had already despaired, feeling that there was no hope for him and his empire. But now, Lin Xian's appearance gave him hope once more. Where is the main force of your Heavenly Mountain Empire locked up? Asked Lin Xian. Since he's already here, he will naturally help these people. However, his time was limited, and he couldn't save all the Heavenly Mountain Empire's martial artists. So he had his own idea. That was to save the Heavenly Mountain Empire's peak martial artists and then have them save themselves. Seeing Lin Xian agree, DK was also excited. He quickly said, they're all in Pill Valley. Yes, the Heavenly Mountain Empire's medicinal pills were flourishing, so those alchemy grandmasters were the strongest martial artists in the city. As for those people, they were currently locked up in Pill Valley and had to refine medicinal pills for the Black Dragon cult to use. All right, then let's go to Pill Valley. Point me in the right direction. After saying that, Lin Xian's body glowed with a dazzling light that enveloped Quebec. Then he turned into a beam of sword radiance and charged into the distance. As for the Heavenly Mountain Empire's martial artists in the plaza, they were constantly kowtowing in the direction Lin Xian had left. DK was too shocked. That speed was too fast. He had never seen anything like it. If it weren't for Lin Xian's light protecting him, just that speed alone would be enough to tear his body apart. He didn't dare to imagine just what realm Lin Xian had reached. He was definitely at the Venerable Realm. As for what heaven stage he was at, he didn't know. The two of them quickly arrived near Pill Valley. DK pointed to a mountain valley in front of them. That is Pill Valley. All of the Heavenly Mountain Empire's medicinal pills are imprisoned there. However, the Black Dragon cult's troops are guarding it. There's no way to charge in. There are quite a few venerables among them. There are even third heaven stage venerables. Before DK could finish speaking, he saw Lin Xian striding forward. Lin Gongzi, be careful. There are third heaven stage venerables ahead, warned DK from behind. In his view, third heaven stage venerables were already incredible existences, far surpassing the triangular-eyed man from before. So he had to be careful. He had even thought of a plan to sneak in. But now it seemed Lin Xian wasn't planning on being careful at all. He was like a war god, rapidly walking through the air. His terrifying voice shook the surroundings like thunder. As expected, Lin Xian's actions drew the attention of the Black Dragon cult's people near Pill Valley. Two small squads quickly flew over. These two squads each had 30 people. The captains were first heaven stage venerables, and there were quite a few half-step venerables and peak spirit detecting experts. Who are you? How dare you cause trouble here? Hurry up and kneel, or you'll die without a corpse, shouted the two first heaven stage venerables. However, Lin Xian's expression was ice cold. He raised his hands and clenched them. Those two first heaven stage venerables were sucked over. What? The distant Black Dragon cult's disciples were shocked. The two first heaven stage venerables were horrified. They did their best to struggle, but it was useless. In the next moment, they were sucked into Lin Xian's hands. Lin Xian, on the other hand, gripped their necks tightly with both hands. Crack! Two crisp sounds were heard, and then the two men's necks bent as they died. Lin Xian casually tossed them aside. Chapter 1324. Take their storage rings, Lin Xian said to the people behind him. DK was completely dumbfounded. Although he had seen Lin Xian's power before, he was still shocked to see it again. Only when Lin Xian reminded him did he come back to his senses and quickly take the two venerables' storage rings. As for the Black Dragon cult disciples in the distance, although they didn't know who Lin Xian was, they felt their scalps go numb when they saw how easily he killed their captains. They knew that this was an expert, so they quickly retreated to report it. But in the next moment, two sword lights flew out of Lin Xian's hands and enveloped the two groups of cultivators. Bloody mist exploded, and those cultivators were cut to pieces. Only their storage rings floated in the air. During this entire process, Lin Xian didn't stop at all. He continued to walk through the air. In an instant, the two groups were completely wiped out. DK, who was behind Lin Xian, was extremely excited. He followed Lin Xian and searched through the storage rings in the air. Lin Xian had no intention of hiding himself at all, so it didn't take long for another Black Dragon cult martial practitioner to discover him. However, those people's fates were the same as before. They were killed by Lin Xian's sword. Not good. The enemy is too strong. Hurry and retreat. The other Black Dragon cult disciples all fled. As for Lin Xian, a ball of black flames flew out of his eyes, forming a black sea of flames. Ah! Those fleeing cultivators were all burned to ashes. Shock, absolute shock. In an instant, over 100 Black Dragon cult disciples were killed. As for the alchemists in Pill Valley, they also noticed the battle in the sky and immediately let out startled cries. What's going on? Someone's attacking the Black Dragon cult. Who is it? They killed hundreds of Black Dragon cult disciples in an instant. Is it someone from the Martial Alliance? The alchemists below were shocked. The Pill Alliance's head and the other elders were also shocked. They saw DK in the air. "It's old man, DK," shouted the Pill Alliance's head. "What? DK, that old bastard, wasn't he killed? How is he still alive?" The surrounding people also had mixed feelings. However, when they saw old man DK flying over with a young man, they were all excited. "Old monster DK, are you all right?" "That's great." Those old men were extremely excited, and the surrounding alchemist also cheered. This is the president of the Pill Alliance, and the others looked at Lin Xian because they clearly saw that the young man in front of them had killed all the warriors of the Black Dragon cult. Lin Xian, he's Lin Xian, the young man who won the Pill King tournament back then. Old man, DK quickly said, "Lin Xian." Hearing this, everyone was shocked and stood rooted to the ground, because just yesterday they were still talking about that young man and many people were still sighing. However, he had not expected that the other party would appear today. Moreover, he had appeared in such a powerful manner. With a raise of his hand, he had killed several hundred Black Dragon cult cultivators. This method was simply too heaven-defying. "Lin Xian, it's really Lin Xian." "Oh my God, I'm not dreaming, am I?" "Lin Gongzi, are you from the Martial Alliance?" Everyone was excited. However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. "I'm not from the Martial Alliance, but I came back this time to deal with the Black Dragon cult." Hearing Lin Xian's words, everyone was excited. At that moment, a cold snort came from behind. "Deal with the Black Dragon cult? What arrogance! Young man, you're the one who killed my subordinates. How dare you kill the people of the Black Dragon cult? I advise you to obediently kneel down and accept your death. Otherwise, I'll make you regret it." A cruel voice was heard, and immediately the expressions of everyone in the valley changed. This was because they were extremely familiar with this voice. It was the Honorable who was watching over them. The other party was a deacon of the Ravengale Hall. His cultivation was at the third heaven of the Honorable realm, and he could be said to be extremely powerful. At this moment, seeing the other party rushing over aggressively, those alchemists all trembled. Lin Xian also turned around and coldly raised his head. As expected, there was a large man in the sky behind him. His muscles bulged, and his aura was extremely powerful. He was at the third heaven of the Honorable realm. Behind him stood 8 martial artists, all of whom were at the second sky of the Honorable realm. It was no wonder these alchemists were so afraid. With this person's power, killing all of them would be as easy as flipping a hand. However, now that Lin Xian had arrived, the situation had changed. Lin Xian looked at the sky and said coldly, "All of you, kneel by the side and wait for my orders." What? The alchemists of Pill Valley were all dumbfounded. They didn't dare to imagine that a youth would dare to say such words to a third heaven honorable. Was he not afraid of death? It had to be known that this was a third heaven honorable. He wasn't one of those first heaven honorables from before. Even the Pill Alliance's head and the other seniors' expressions changed. There were even quite a few people who hastily sent messages to Lin Xian to flee. Of those people, only DK's expression remained the same. He was already numb to this. As for the Black Dragon cult's honorables behind him, they began to crazily laugh at Lin Xian's words. "What did you say? You want us to kneel to the side? Wait for your orders? Brat, I have to say, you're the first person I've seen in all these years who dares to say such words. Don't worry, I'll give you some special treatment in a bit. You actually dare to say such words to us? You really don't know life from death. Brat, kneel on the ground and break your own arms. Cripple your own martial arts. And I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a burial ground. The group of people roared furiously, and the ferocious man at the front had a sinister expression. However, Lin Xian just stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, a disdainful smile on his face. Although he didn't say anything, that disdainful smile made the Black Dragon cult's people go crazy. For the past year, they had seen the fearful looks of others. They had never seen such a mocking expression. Therefore, those people couldn't stand it at all. In the next moment, the ferocious man at the front roared and quickly charged at Lin Xian. Although he was huge, he arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. Boom! With a single punch, even the void exploded. The terrifying power was like a ferocious beast that quickly rushed toward Lin Xian. Oh no! Retreat! The Alchemy Guild's president and the surrounding elders all had a drastic change in expression as they frantically retreated. The alchemists around them closed their eyes, unable to bear to watch. Even DK's scalp went numb. That was because his opponent's power was too terrifying. He couldn't withstand it at all. Although he had seen Lin Xian's power, he didn't think that Lin Xian could withstand that punch. The ferocious man had a sinister smile on his face. It was as if he could already see Lin Xian being killed by that punch. Chapter 1325. Bang! In the next moment, the terrifying fist landed on Lin Xian's body with an earth-shattering sound. The entire valley trembled as countless boulders fell from the mountain. What? That's impossible. However, just as everyone was in despair, the ferocious man in front of them suddenly let out a shrill cry as if he had encountered something terrifying. Everyone's heart skipped a beat as they opened their eyes and looked ahead. Then they were all stunned. He's fine, he's fine. Such a violent punch landed on Lin Xian's body, but he's fine. Even Lin Xian's clothes didn't change. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded. Even the 8-second level supremacies behind him were dumbfounded. You. The ferocious man was even more shocked. He was very confident in his punch, as even a cultivator of the same level as him wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, nothing happened to Lin Xian. Even a 4th or 5th level supremacy wouldn't be able to do that. Who is he? How can he have such a technique? The ferocious man couldn't figure it out. However, in the next moment, he screamed in agony. That was because Lin Xian had stretched out his palm and grabbed his fist before pulling it forcefully. Crack! Crack! The arm that had landed on Lin Xian's body was immediately torn off. Blood flowed out as white bones and flesh were exposed. The ferocious man didn't expect that at all. He was in so much pain that his entire body was twisted. Kid, I'll kill you. He had never suffered such a serious injury before. Hence, he was like a crazy beast as he punched Lin Xian with his other fist. However, Lin Xian's expression was cold as he raised his palm and gently pressed it against the ferocious man's head. Boom! The ferocious man's head turned into a bloody mist in an instant. It was a real bloody mist, as not even a bit of flesh was left behind. Plop! The headless body fell to the ground as blood flowed out and dyed the entire ground red. On the other hand, Lin Xian's body was spotless, as if he was an immortal who had descended to the mortal world. What? He's dead. Everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. That was a third heaven honorable realm expert, a supreme expert in their eyes. However, he had been killed so easily that he did not even have the chance to fight back. For a moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian, their minds blank. They couldn't imagine what kind of strength was needed to accomplish such a feat. The elders of the Alchemy Guild were even more shocked. It was no wonder that the other party did not run away and even had a look of disdain on his face. It turned out that a third heavenly layer Venerable Realm expert could not even withstand a single blow from him. The 8-second sky Venerables felt their scalps go numb. They knew that the young man in front of them was definitely a super expert. He wasn't someone they could contend against. Retreat. Retreat quickly. Quickly report to the Hall Master that a super expert has appeared in the Heavenly Mountain Empire. In the next moment, the 8 of them looked at each other and quickly soared into the sky, flying in 8 different directions. Oh no, we can't let them escape. The Alchemy Guild's Hall Master and the others' expressions changed. If they let them escape, they would definitely bring even more cultivators. At that time, the Heavenly Mountain Empire would be finished. However, as Lin Xian looked at the fleeing figures, the disdain on his face grew. He raised his arm and shot a sword light into the sky. Immediately, the sword light turned into 8 shooting stars that shot toward the 8 fleeing people. Uft! Uft! In the next moment, the 8 sword lights pierced through the 8 second heaven honorables and nailed their corpses to the ground. In an instant, 8 second heaven honorables had been killed. In Pill Valley, the alchemists gulped. This was too heaven-defying. Killing Venerables with just a raise of his hand was something that they did not even dare to dream of. Many of them were shocked because many of them had seen Lin Xian before. At that time, he was still a youth who was inferior to them. However, in just 4 or 5 years, he had already grown to such a terrifying level. Lin Gongzi, let's go quickly. This big man is a deacon of the Ravengale Hall. There are even more experts around. If we don't leave quickly, it will be very troublesome if we are surrounded. The Alchemy Guild's Hall Master said quickly. The others nodded in agreement. This was the best opportunity for them to escape. However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. There's no rush. Let's wait here. When everyone arrives, we'll deal with them all together. We won't have to search everywhere and waste time. What? Lin Gongzi, do you want to kill everyone? Hearing this, the alchemists' hearts pounded wildly. To tell the truth, they instinctively did not believe it. However, what had just happened deeply stimulated them. Perhaps Lin Xian could really fight against the Black Dragon cult. Lin Xian took out a few recovery pills and gave them to the Alchemy Guild's Hall Master and the others. Old Man DK, on the other hand, led some alchemists to quickly collect the storage rings of the corpses. After taking the pills, the Alchemy Guild's Hall Master and the others felt the changes in their bodies and immediately screamed. Heavens! What a magical pill! What grade is this? Could it be the legendary divine pill? The group of people was very excited. Lin Xian asked in a deep voice, Tell me about the situation here. Hearing this, the Alchemy Guild's Ravengale Hall Master sighed. The ones bullying us are mainly the Ravengale Hall of the Black Dragon cult. They have many venerables, but we don't have any venerables here. So even if we want to resist, we don't have the strength to do so. What about the other countries? Are they the same? Lin Xian asked again. They're all about the same. The Black Dragon cult has 8 halls, and they basically occupy the entire Tianan region. Only the Martial Alliance, some hidden families, and those young geniuses can fight against the Black Dragon cult. As for the others, they've basically all fallen. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded and said again, When those people come later, I'll kill them. The rest will be up to you. After all, I can't stay here for too long. Seeing the alchemist's disappointment, Lin Xian said, Don't worry, I'll help you improve your strength to the Venerable Realm. What? To the Venerable Realm? Do you have that magical crystal too? This time, everyone around was excited. Crystal? What crystal? You mean the crystal that can greatly improve a martial artist's cultivation? They were too excited. If one of the contestants really had that kind of stone, they could instantly become a venerable. However, to their disappointment, Lin Xian shook his head. I don't have that kind of stone you're talking about. I have other ways to help you break through to the venerable realm. By the way, what's the crystal you mentioned? Can you tell me more about it? We don't know the details. We only know that this kind of stone suddenly appeared more than half a year ago, and it allowed the people of the Black Dragon cult to greatly improve in a short period of time. By the way, that stone seems to have come from the Xia, the Alchemy Guild's guildmaster said. What? The Xia? Lin Xian's expression changed. Chapter 1326. This time, Lin Xian's expression changed. This wasn't good news for him. If that thing really had come from the Great Xia, then the Great Xia situation would be even worse than the Tian Shan Empire. It seems I can't stay here. I have to return to the Great Xia. Lin Xian didn't hesitate and took out medicinal pills. Here are 8 medicinal pills. They should be enough for you to break through to the exalted realm. I'll go kill all the Black Dragon cult's disciples and then leave the Tian Shan Empire. Without waiting for them to react, Lin Xian soared into the sky. Countless Black Dragon cult's disciples had gathered in a city very close to Pill Valley. They had long since received news that some experts had come to help Pill Valley and oppose the Black Dragon cult. At this moment, a bald man with a powerful aura was gathering the surrounding disciples to prepare a counterattack against Pill Valley. This bald man was one of the Ravengale Hall's important generals. His cultivation base had reached the 4th heaven stage of the Venerate realm. He could be said to have the highest cultivation base within the Tian Shan Empire. Beside him was a white-robed youth with an evil charm. Although he was young, his aura didn't seem to be any weaker than the bald man. I didn't expect to run into such a situation as soon as I arrived. It seems the Tian Shan Empire hasn't been completely tamed yet, said the evil youth. How about it? Do you need my divine pill hall to take action? This white-robed youth was from the Divine Wind Hall. The Divine Pill Hall was the same as the Ravengale Hall. They were also one of the Black Dragon cult's 8 great halls. The bald man smiled. Don't worry, my Ravengale Hall can handle this matter. I'd like to see who has the guts to cause trouble in my territory. Boom! However, he had only just finished speaking when a huge palm descended from the sky, smashing into the plaza. Countless Black Dragon cult's disciples were blown to bits. For a moment, flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and blood sprayed everywhere. The entire square turned into a living hell. What? Seeing this scene, the pupils of the bald man and the evil-looking youth beside him, as well as the surrounding experts, suddenly shrank. This was because they had not felt any danger at all. As for how that huge palm had appeared, they had no idea. Damn it, who is it? Get out here. Seeing so many of his subordinates die at once, the bald man roared madly. At the side, the young man with the wicked eyebrows did not look good either. Their muscles tensed as they quickly scanned their surroundings, trying to find the enemy. In the next moment, a figure descended before them. Who is it? Could it be that you did it just now? The bald man and the evil-looking youth looked at the figure in front of them with bewilderment, because this was not what they had expected. In their opinion, only those from the Martial Alliance could go against the Black Dragon River. Moreover, the person who could do such a thing must be a super elder in the Martial Alliance. However, the figure in front of him was a young man. In fact, he was even a few years younger than the evil youth. Such a young person, no matter how talented he was, should only be at the spirit transformation realm or the spirit detecting realm. How could he have such power? This figure was naturally Lin Xian. He glanced at the front and then said in a deep voice, "It seems that you are the so-called remnants of the Ravengale Hall." Remnants. Kid, you're courting death. The supremacies were enraged when they heard that. So it's you. Since that's the case, you can all die. Lin Xian's eyes flickered like a killing god. How dare you? How dare you? you're courting death." Lin Xian's words infuriated these people. When had they ever been looked down upon like this? The bald man roared furiously. He pulled out the saber on his back and quickly slashed it forward. "Kid, go to hell." He did not care who the young man in front of him was. Only death awaited him for daring to say such things. The saber gleam flashed ferociously like a ferocious tiger descending the mountain. The surrounding martial artists cheered when the saber was swung. In their opinion, as long as their boss swung the saber, the arrogant kid in front of them would definitely be split in half. However, they were stunned in the next moment. Even the smiles on their faces froze. That was because that ferocious saber was actually caught by the other party. Moreover, it was caught by the other party with 2 fingers. Their eyes almost popped out when they saw that. 2 fingers actually caught their boss's full-powered attack? How was that possible? Too weak. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. Then he exerted some force with his fingers. Immediately, the huge saber broke into 2 with a crack. What? It broke? The bald man was stunned. He could not believe it. Not only did the other party catch his attack, but he also broke his saber? That was something that he did not dare to imagine. However, Lin Xian was not willing to talk nonsense with him. He simply threw a punch and directly hit the bald man's chest. Immediately, the bald man's ribs broke and a transparent round hole appeared in his chest. Plop! The bald man's corpse knelt on the ground. His pupils suddenly dilated. Even until his death, he could not believe that someone could kill him with a single punch. That scene deeply stunned everyone in the hall. One had to know that their boss was a 4th Heaven Marshal Honor Realm Patriarch, who would soon break through to the 5th Heaven Marshal Honor Realm. He was extremely powerful. However, at that moment, he was killed with a single punch. Demon, you're a demon. The remaining supremacies felt their scalps go numb. Their expressions changed drastically as they retreated, wanting to escape. However, Lin Xian's body swayed. Like a ghost, he appeared in front of everyone in an instant. He quickly attacked. Every time it was a simple punch. The seemingly ordinary fist had become a life-taking divine fist in the eyes of these people. Everyone was like a piece of paper, unable to withstand the power of that fist. Boom, 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 boom. Those supremacies' bodies split open one by one and were blasted into pieces. In an instant, all 18 supremacies in the hall were dead. Only the evil-looking young man in a white shirt was left. The evil-looking young man looked at Lin Xian's back. His entire body trembled and his pants were wet. He was so scared that he peed his pants. He could not believe that there was such a terrifying person in the world who could kill 18 supremacies in an instant. Every single one of them was killed with a single punch. The only person who could do this was probably their hall master. Who are you?" The evil-looking young man was so scared that his voice trembled. Lin Xian turned around and asked coldly, "Are you also from the Ravengale Hall?" No, I'm not from the Ravengale Hall. I'm from the Divine Pill Hall," the evil-looking young man quickly said. He thought that Lin Xian was only targeting the Ravengale Hall. However, Lin Xian frowned. His eyes flashed with cold killing intent. "Divine Pill Hall? So you're also from the Black Dragon sect? If that's the case, then die." With that, his 5 fingers formed a claw and grabbed forward. Chapter 13:27. Lin Xian frowned, and a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. "Divine Pill Hall? So you're also a member of the Black Dragon sect? If that's the case, then die." With that, he clawed at the young man. The evil young man's expression changed drastically. He did not expect Lin Xian to attack the entire Black Dragon sect. He found it laughable because the Black Dragon sect was the overlord of the entire Tianan region. However, he did not have time to laugh at Lin Xian because the terrifying palm had already reached for him. "Damn it, get lost." The evil young man roared angrily and quickly shot out a flame. Boom! The flame was terrifying and burned fiercely with monstrous momentum. It was going to burn Lin Xian to ashes. It was alchemy fire, the flame that the evil young man was proud of. His cultivation was also at the fourth heaven of the venerable realm. His strength was not weaker than the bald man from before. Not only that, he also had a strange alchemy fire, so his overall strength was stronger. Now that he was forced into a corner, he could only use all his strength to escape. Die! The evil young man roared. However, the flame that he was proud of had no effect on Lin Xian. In an instant, Lin Xian grabbed the young man's neck and twisted it forcefully. No, you can't kill me. The evil young man shouted frantically and wanted to beg for mercy. However, his neck was broken halfway through his sentence. Plop! Lin Xian threw the young man's body aside. At that moment, DK, the president of the Alchemy Guild, and the others had just arrived. They were shocked when they saw the countless venerable corpses in the hall. They're all dead? Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. One had to know that those people who ruled Tianshan country were the true powerhouses. Each of them could wipe out Tianshan country, but they were all killed at that moment. Lin Xian turned around and said to DK and the others, "That's all I can do. The rest is up to you. You are now venerables, and the strongest person in Tianshan country has been killed by me. You can distribute the resources as you wish. Try your best to survive. Don't fight against the Black Dragon cult. Once I'm done with the matters in Xia country, I'll launch an all-out attack on the Black Dragon cult." With that, Lin Xian soared into the sky and quickly disappeared into the horizon. Only a group of people were left, looking at the sky and exclaiming, "Whoosh!" In the next moment, Lin Xian returned to the spirit boat. He quickly steered the spirit boat and flew in the direction of the Xia country. "How is it? Do you know those people down there?" Morong Qingqing and the others asked. "Some old friends, but they were captured by the Black Dragon sect, so I'm dealing with them. Now, let's go to Xia country immediately." "There seems to be a mutation there," Lin Xian said. "Mutation? What mutation?" Morong Qingqing and the others were puzzled. It said that a kind of crystal appeared there that can increase a warrior's strength in an instant. The venerables of the Black Dragon cult all appeared like this. There's such a magical thing in the world. Morong Qingqing was surprised, and Luo Bingshan was also moved. The Crimson Dragon held his chin and thought carefully. It's not that there aren't things that can increase a warrior's cultivation in an instant, but these things are all extremely precious. But according to what you said, at least countless warriors of the Black Dragon cult have benefited. That's impossible. If there are so many things that can increase a warrior's cultivation, then why are we still cultivating? The Crimson Dragon was very puzzled. He thought for a long time, but still couldn't understand. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. "Don't think about it. We'll know when we reach Xia country." The incident in Tianshan country happened so quickly that the Black Dragon cult didn't even notice. Moreover, Tianshan country was just an ordinary country. There were thousands of countries like it in the Tianan region, so it wasn't worth paying attention to. In other words, they didn't even know that Lin Xian and the others were coming. Xia country wasn't too far away from Tianshan country. With Lin Xian and the others' speed, they could arrive in a day. As they got closer and closer to Xia country, Lin Xian also became nervous. He was afraid that something would happen to his family, so he was very nervous. Morong Qingqing comforted him from the side. The Crimson Dragon was very excited and couldn't wait to rush to Xia country. He really wanted to know what kind of magical thing could increase a warrior's cultivation in an instant. Xia country was located in a very remote location in the Tianan region. It was originally just an ordinary country that wouldn't attract anyone's attention. However, half a year ago, a mysterious crystal appeared here. The crystal was very magical. It contained a mysterious energy that could increase a warrior's cultivation by a large margin. At first, the crystal wasn't discovered by humans, but was swallowed by a demon beast. Suddenly, that ordinary demon beast turned into a powerful demon general in an instant. As this happened more and more, it finally attracted the attention of warriors. However, the Black Dragon sect had fully recovered and was wantonly invading the Tianan region. At that time, Xia country was controlled by the Nether Hall. Therefore, this matter was quickly discovered by the Nether Hall, and the entire Black Dragon sect was shocked. Later on, Xia country was controlled by the upper echelons of the Black Dragon sect. Most of the mysterious crystals fell into the hands of the Black Dragon sect. Of course, not all of them. There were also experts and geniuses from the Martial Alliance, as well as those who were lucky enough to obtain some. However, compared to the Black Dragon sect, the number was pitifully small. Since then, Xia country became a place that the Black Dragon sect paid great attention to. This was because this was the production area of the mysterious crystals. However, other than the mysterious crystals, there was another place that was listed as a forbidden area. That was the Sword Pool Mansion. Because the Sword Pool Mansion was too strange, the entire mansion was completely wrapped in ice, and outsiders couldn't enter at all. Even the supremacies of the Black Dragon sect couldn't break through the ice. Later on, it was said that the Black Dragon sect's protectors were alarmed and came to investigate. In the end, they couldn't break through it, but they gave an order. The entire Sword Pool Mansion was sealed, and outsiders were not allowed to approach. On the other side, the moment Lin Xian entered Xia country's territory, he unleashed his powerful soul force to investigate the Sword Pool Mansion. When he sensed the dense ice energy, he heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Sword Pool Mansion is still the same. It's wrapped in ice and didn't break through. It seems that those people from the Black Dragon sect didn't succeed. However, this also made him very puzzled, because the Sword Pool Mansion would definitely attract the attention of the Black Dragon sect, and those supremacies would also make a move. Now that the Sword Pool Mansion was still wrapped in ice, it meant that the other party had failed. What kind of ice was it that even the supremacies couldn't break through? This made Lin Xian very puzzled. At the same time, he was very worried. Under such a powerful ice energy, could the Lin family members in the Sword Pool Mansion survive? Chapter 1328. In the sky. The spirit boat flew quickly like a bolt of lightning, streaking across the sky above the state of Great Xia. Soon, Lin Xian and the others arrived above the Sword Pool Mansion. Just as they had predicted, the situation in the state of Great Xia was worse than that in the Tianshan country. The strongest Black Dragon sect warrior in the Tianshan country was only at the fourth heaven of the Venerable Realm. In the state of Great Xia, fourth heaven venerables could be seen everywhere. In addition, there were fifth heaven, sixth heaven, and even seventh heaven venerables. It seemed that the rumors were true. The mysterious crystal that could increase a warrior's cultivation came from the state of Great Xia. Otherwise, the Black Dragon sect would not have sent so many experts to this remote country. None of these venerables noticed that there was a spirit boat above them. Not to mention these people, the spirit boat had a hidden aura array. Even an eighth heaven or ninth heaven venerable might not be able to sense it. Lin Xian stood on the spirit boat and quickly probed below with his soul power. Below, there was an azure ice city that was releasing traces of cold air. It was like the legendary Ice Kingdom. There was a defensive array around it that blocked the cold air and prevented it from spreading. In addition, there were many pavilions and halls near the Sword Pool Mansion. Each of them had the flag of the Black Dragon sect. Obviously, they were responsible for guarding the place. One of the pavilions was very majestic. It had a total of 32 floors and was 100 feet tall. It was magnificent and looked like a heavenly pillar standing on the ground. Countless warriors were entering and exiting the huge pavilion. These people were all elites of the Black Dragon sect. If Lin Xian wanted to know about the Sword Pool Mansion, he naturally looked at the majestic pavilion. With his outstanding soul power, he could clearly hear the conversation in the building. On the 23rd floor of the pavilion, a hunchbacked old man's eyes were like lightning. He had the aura of a sixth heaven venerable. He asked his subordinate in a deep voice, "How are the preparations going?" "We're almost done. This time, we've recruited many array masters and even invited the 3rd Division Master of the Divine Pill Hull. I think with his fire cloud Earthfire, he should be able to break the ice outside the Sword Pool Mansion." A middle-aged man in black light armor quickly reported. After the hunchbacked old man heard this, he nodded in satisfaction. "Since you're ready, let's do it tomorrow. This Sword Pool Manor actually has such strange ice. I think there must be some kind of rare treasure inside. Therefore, no matter what, we have to break it open. I'd rather miss it than miss it. I won't let the treasure escape in front of me." The hunchbacked old man revealed an evil smile. Then he said in a deep voice, "All of you can leave now. Go and prepare. Also, we must tighten our defenses tonight. We must not let anything happen at the most critical moment." The warriors under him nodded, then turned around and prepared to leave. However, when they pushed open the door to the conference hall, they found an unfamiliar young man standing outside. "Which branch are you from? Why was he here? Don't you know the rules?" Seeing this young man blocking their way, an elder snorted in displeasure. However, the mysterious young man in front of him had an ice-cold expression. His body stood there like a boulder and did not move at all. In the main hall, the Black Dragon sect members were even more displeased. Suddenly, their pupils constricted as if they had discovered something. Then they shrieked, "You're not a disciple of the Black Dragon sect? Who are you? Why are you here?" They had indeed discovered something strange, because the young man's clothes did not have the symbol of the Black Dragon sect. No matter what clothes the Black Dragon sect wore, there would be a black dragon as a symbol. However, the young man did not have such a symbol. This meant that the young man was definitely not a member of the Black Dragon sect. The mysterious young man in front of them was indeed not a member of the Black Dragon sect, because he was Lin Xian. Previously, he had used his soul power on the spirit boat to gather information. Soon, he heard the conversation in the conference room. When he found out that these people wanted to attack the Sword Pool Mansion tomorrow, an uncontrollable killing intent rose from his body. No one could attack his people. That was his bottom line. Now, someone actually dared to touch his bottom line. Therefore, he arrived outside the conference hall in an instant. Since these people wanted to attack the Sword Pool Mansion tomorrow, he could only destroy them today. However, the elders in the hall were extremely displeased that the young man dared to ignore their words. "Men, where's the enforcers? Take him down. Interrogate him. We must find out who he is. How did he get in?" The hunchbacked old man shouted coldly. His voice was filled with endless majesty. The others also frowned. Yes, their place could be said to be very confidential. There were groups of guards outside, so outsiders could not enter at all. However, the young man in front of them appeared here, which made them very puzzled. "No need to shout. Are the guards, you mentioned them?" Lin Xian waved his hand, and more than 10 heads fell to the ground. Every head was covered in blood, and those people even had terrified expressions on their faces. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded because the heads on the ground belonged to the law enforcement team outside. However, at this moment, they were all killed. Moreover, they did not know when the young man attacked. Thinking of this, they broke out in cold sweat. This was because such a situation would only happen when the difference between the two sides was too great. Otherwise, if the two sides attacked, they would definitely know. In other words, the mysterious young man's strength was beyond their expectations. He could kill their people silently. But how was that possible? Those law enforcement team members were all venerable ones. Who could kill so many venerable ones silently? In the hall, these people did not dare to believe it. However, these people would not sit still and wait for death. Many of them started to send voice transmissions to mobilize people from their floors. The middle-aged man in black armor from before strode out and asked coldly, "Who are you? What's your purpose here?" Lin Xian did not answer his question. Instead, he asked in return, "Are you going to attack the Sword Pool Mansion tomorrow?" Hearing this, everyone frowned, and the burly man in black armor's pupils constricted. He said in a sharp voice, "Are you from the Sword Pool Mansion?" "That's right. I'm from the Sword Pool Mansion." Lin Xian said coldly, "Since you want to attack my clansmen, then don't blame me for annihilating all of you." Hearing that he was from the Sword Pool Mansion, everyone was shocked, and the middle-aged man in black armor even laughed wildly. "Good, that's really great. We were worried that we didn't know the secrets of the Sword Pool Mansion. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to us. Kid, kneel down obediently and tell me all the secrets of the Sword Pool Mansion. I can leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you and your clansmen will be torn into pieces." The burly man in black armor had a cruel smile on his face, and the others in the room also laughed wildly. Chapter 13:29. Great. That's great. We were worried that we didn't know the secrets of the Sword Pool Mansion. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to us. Kid, kneel down obediently and tell me all the secrets of the Sword Pool Mansion. Then I'll leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you and your clansmen will be torn into pieces. The burly man in black armor had a cruel smile on his face. Everyone else in the room laughed maniacally. Great. They could finally unravel the secrets of the Sword Pool Mansion. Moreover, Lin Xian's face darkened. Endless killing intent emerged from his body. These people still dared to have designs on the Sword Pool Mansion. They really deserve to die. How dare you have designs on the Lin family? You deserve to die. Lin Xian's voice was cold. He stretched out his hand, and a huge suction force came from his palm. Instantly, the middle-aged man in black armor was sucked into his hand. Then, terrifying lightning surged out and enveloped the burly man in black armor. Crackle! Ah! The charred body fell to the ground. The burly man in black armor had turned into a dried corpse. His entire body was charred black, and the lightning on his body kept trembling. He couldn't be more dead. Who else dares to have designs on the Lin family? Lin Xian's eyes were cold as he swept his gaze across the room. Everyone in the hall was dumbstruck. It was dead silent. In the hall, the people from the Black Dragon sect were completely stunned. They didn't expect the burly man in black armor to be killed so easily without any resistance. This was beyond their expectations. The burly man in black armor wasn't weak. He was at the fifth heaven of the honorable realm and was considered an expert among them. However, such an expert couldn't even withstand one move from the young man in front of them. Moreover, what frightened them even more was that the young man said he was from the Sword Pool Mansion. However, since when did the Sword Pool Mansion have such an expert? Could he be from the Martial Alliance? The hearts of the elders from the Nether Hall beat wildly. However, they quickly shook their heads. The Martial Alliance was the sworn enemy of the Black Dragon sect. They had detailed information about the young experts in the Martial Alliance, but they didn't know who the young man in front of them was. In that case, there were only two possibilities. The first was that the young man wasn't from the Martial Alliance. The second was that the young man was an expert who had only appeared recently. However, no matter which one it wasn't good news to them because they were now enemies. Who are you? What are you trying to do? The hunchbacked elder in the hall asked coldly. I've already said that I'm from the Lin family. As for my purpose, of course, it's to destroy the Black Dragon sect. Exterminate the Black Dragon sect. When they heard this, the elders of the Nether Hall sneered with disdain. Kid, I admit that you're very powerful to be able to kill a 5th heavenly layer venerable. I'm afraid none of us here is a match for you. But don't be too arrogant. You don't know the strength of our Black Dragon sect. Not to mention the sect's guardian elders. Even if our Hall Master were here, he would be able to kill you easily. Exactly. Our Black Dragon is the overlord of the South Horizon region. An ignorant brat like you still dares to clamor here? You're courting death. Don't think that just because your Lin family is frozen, we can't touch you. With the fire cloud, earth fire, we can also break through the ice. When the time comes, everyone from the Sword Pool Manor's Lin family will die. Another red-robed elder shouted coldly. His voice was ferocious, and his eyes were filled with viciousness. However, just as he finished speaking, he saw Lin Xian slash out a sword light and directly split his body in half. Blood and intestines immediately flowed out of his body. The pungent smell of blood made everyone in the hall want to vomit. I've said it before. If you dare to threaten me with the Sword Pool Manor, there's only one outcome. Lin Xian's voice was cold like a god of death. Since you dare to challenge my bottom line, then die. At the end of his sentence, a terrifying killing intent soared from his body. However, at this moment, a low voice suddenly came from the corridor. Countless Black Dragon sect cultivators rushed over and surrounded the entire 23rd floor. Ha ha ha. Kid, so what if you're strong? Could it be that you can go against the entire Nether Hall? Seeing the surrounding cultivators rushing over, the elders in the hall all laughed wildly. They did not attack earlier not because they were afraid of Lin Xian, but because they were waiting for reinforcements to arrive. Now that everyone in the pavilion had been called over, this was an extremely terrifying force that could definitely kill this kid in front of them. Of course, they would not let Lin Xian die so easily. At the very least, they would let him suffer endless pain. Kid, you're arrogant. How dare you kill someone from the Nether Hall? Today is the day you die. I won't let you die. I'll break all the bones in your body and let you watch as the Sword Pool Manor is destroyed. Humph. Your Lin family will become the slaves of the Nether Hall. Slaves for life. You'll never be able to rise again. Those people were very arrogant. They looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a dead man. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He did not show any fear, because these people were no different from ants in front of him. If it were not for the fact that the Nether Hall was too widespread and spread across several countries, he would even want to wipe out the entire Nether Hall. Since he could not get rid of the Nether Hall in a short period of time, he would not let go of the people in the pavilion today. How ignorant! Do you think that you can save your lives with more people? Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. You're courting death. Kid, you're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. Seeing the disdainful smile, the elders of the Nether Hall were furious. The hunchbacked elder's face was gloomy. He waved his hand and said to the warriors around him, "Go, kill him!" Once the order was given, the 8 men in black who were walking at the front immediately attacked. 8 fists were thrown from different directions. They were like ferocious beasts as they rushed toward Lin Xian at high speed. These 8 people were all experts. They were not inferior to the men in black who had died earlier. If the 8 of them attacked, no one in the pavilion would be able to stop them. Bang! 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 However, such terrifying fists stopped when they were 3 feet away from Lin Xian. They could not move at all. What? How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. The 8 men were even more horrified. They felt an incomparably terrifying power on their bodies, causing them to completely lose the ability to resist. Crack! 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 In the next moment, the 8 of them screamed because their arms were all chopped off, revealing eerie white bones. Not only that, but there was also terrifying lightning surging out. It was like a lightning beast that instantly swallowed them up. Boom! 8 charred corpses fell to the ground. Impossible. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were all stunned. They cried out in horror. In the blink of an eye, the expert from the Black Dragon cult was killed without being able to put up any resistance. This was too shocking. They could not believe it. Chapter 1330. In the blink of an eye, the 8 Black Dragon sect experts were killed without being able to resist at all. This was too shocking. They could not believe it. Based on the way Lin Xian killed the burly man in black armor, he should have surpassed the 5th heaven of the Venerable Realm. However, looking at his age, he was only in his 20s. At most, he was at the 6th heaven of the Venerable Realm. It was impossible for him to be stronger than that. However, even a 6th heaven of the Venerable Realm could not kill 8 5th heaven venerables in an instant. It was simply impossible. However, Lin Xian had done it so easily. Are you a 7th heaven of the Venerable Realm? These people looked at Lin Xian in horror. A 7th heaven of the Venerable Realm was a top-notch expert even in the Black Dragon sect. Although they were also venerables, they were only a branch of the Netherhall, so there was no 7th heaven Venerable Realm expert among them. Go and get the Divine Pill Hall's 3rd Division Master. The hunchbacked old man shouted frantically with a terrified expression. Delay, they had to delay. They still had hope because the Divine Pill Hall's 3rd Division Master was a 7th heaven venerable. Moreover, he had the fire cloud, earthly fire in his hands. It could be said that he was extremely terrifying. As long as he could make it in time, he would definitely be able to kill this little thief in front of him. In the next moment, the hunchbacked old man gave orders frantically again. Go. Kill him. Even if he's a 7th heaven venerable, he can't stop so many of us. As far as they knew, a 7th heaven venerable could not fight against so many people. However, this was only their understanding. Seeing the countless Black Dragon sect martial artists, Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold, killing intent. In the next moment, his eyes turned red, and his body was surrounded by a terrifying, killing intent. A boundless sea of blood quickly appeared and surged behind him. Blood Sword Massacre. A low voice came from his mouth. Lin Xian's killing intent soared into the sky. The sea of blood behind him surged, and boundless killing intent instantly enveloped the entire hall. At this moment, the space was dyed red. Looking at the martial artists who were charging at him, Lin Xian threw a punch. Immediately, the sea of blood behind him surged and turned into a blood dragon that charged forward. Ah, no. In the next moment, a miserable shriek rang out. That was because the Black Dragon cult martial artist at the front had his body split open and turned into a bloody mist. In the blink of an eye, the crowded hall was emptied. Looking at this scene, everyone felt their scalps go numb, and their expressions were filled with fear. One punch, just one punch, had killed at least 100 martial artists. Half of them were supremacies. What kind of technique is this? How could it be so terrifying? Even a 7th heavenly layer venerable wouldn't be able to do that, right? The eyes of the Black Dragon Society members were filled with despair as they fled madly. However, the entire pavilion was sealed off by Lin Xian's blood sea. No one could escape. Since the moment these people had set their sights on the Sword Pool Mansion, their fates had been sealed. Lin Xian clenched his fist. The sea of blood around him surged, and a blood-red killing sword quickly appeared. Then he brandished his long sword, and streaks of sword qi swept out in all directions. Wherever the sword qi passed, the cultivators were all killed. Massacre! This was simply a massacre, because the two sides were not on the same level at all. One had to know that Lin Xian was in existence who could even kill a half-step king. Most of these people were 4th or 5th heaven supremacies. The better ones were at 5th or 6th heaven. The two sides were not on the same level at all. It was like a dragon trampling ants to death. Soon, all the martial artists who rushed over from the other floors were killed by Lin Xian. Only the Nether Hall elders were left in the hall. Blood gathered into a small river and flowed under everyone's feet. The pungent smell of blood made these damned elders have the urge to die. Lin Xian turned around again and stared at those people. Immediately, the elders in the hall trembled and screamed in fear. "What are you trying to do? I'm telling you, don't mess around. We're from the Nether Hall. No, don't kill me. We'll tell you whatever you want to know. Please let us go." Many people roared, but even more people begged for mercy. A few elders even knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing to Lin Xian. They wanted to exchange for their lives. Lin Xian's expression was cold and even filled with disdain. These people seemed to be powerful and had reached the supremacy realm, but deep down they were even inferior to those in the spirit detecting realm. They lacked sharpness, bravery, and bloodthirstiness. This was because they did not cultivate their strength at all. They only reached the supremacy realm with the help of external forces. People like them could not unleash the strength that a supremacy should have. Once they encountered true danger, they would not dare to risk their lives. Pitiful ants, you're insulting the supremacy realm. Lin Xian stretched out his hand. Immediately, the sea of blood behind him turned into countless blood swords and stabbed forward. "Don't kill me. Save me." Up ahead, the elders of the Black Dragon cult in the Great Hall screamed and quickly fled. However, they could not escape at all. The blood swords in the sky were like blood bolts of lightning. They instantly pierced through those elders and nailed them to death in the air. In the blink of an eye, everyone from the Nether Hall in the pavilion was killed. Lin Xian withdrew the sea of blood and absorbed all the blood around him. It turned into the power of the sea of blood and strengthened his blood sword inheritance again. The blood sword inheritance was very strange. The more he killed, the stronger he became. However, Lin Xian was not willing to use it normally. He would only use it when he met someone who deserved to die. He spread out his soul power and quickly scanned the entire 32nd floor of the pavilion. He did not find anyone who had escaped. Then he turned around and walked out. The corpses in the corridor were piled up like a mountain and blocked the exit. Lin Xian frowned slightly and wanted to blast the way out. However, at that moment, a powerful force came from the opposite side and instantly blasted the corpses in the corridor into pieces. Not only that, but the pieces quickly burned and disappeared as if they did not exist at all. None of this was caused by Lin Xian, so he stopped and looked ahead with narrowed eyes. As expected, two figures appeared in front of him. The one in front was a handsome young man. He was wearing a luxurious robe and had flames gathered to form a fire dragon. Beside the young man with flames stood an old man. He was expressionless and had a sinister look in his eyes. He was like a goshawk and emitted an extremely dangerous aura. At that moment, the old man slowly retracted his hand and the flames on his body quickly disappeared. It seemed that the previous attack was from this old man in black. The young man looked around and saw that no one was alive. He did not show any anger on his face. Instead, he smiled. "Not bad, not bad. To be able to destroy a branch of the Nether Hall in such a short period of time. Your strength is not bad. Looking at your young age, you should be a young genius. However, I don't have any information about you. I'm curious. Who are you?" Chapter 1331. You look so young. You should be a young genius. But I don't have any information about you. I'm curious. Who are you? Asked the flaming youth. You don't need to know who I am. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and his voice was cold. The young man who was bathed in flames didn't get angry. Instead, he stared at Lin Xian with a smile. You have a personality. I like it. You're definitely not weak. You should be at the 7th sky of the Venerable Realm. How about it? Are you interested in joining my divine pill hall and being my subordinate? Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. As long as you follow me, I promise to be your subordinate for the rest of your life. I'll make you rich, said the flaming youth. Follow you? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It was the first time he had heard such words. No one had ever dared to say such words to him. The flaming youth did not know what Lin Xian was thinking. He continued, speaking arrogantly. Don't worry. You won't be at a disadvantage if you follow me. Although you're at the seventh sky of the Venerable Realm and are considered a genius, I'm even stronger. I, Fang Yen, am the third leader of the Divine Pill Hall. Once I break the ice in the Sword Pool Mansion, I'll have made a great contribution and will soon become the second leader. Following me is definitely the wisest choice. Our Divine Pill Hall is not like the Nether Hall. We're the #1 hall. Fang Yen was very confident. He was indeed confident because the Divine Pill Hall was ranked first in the Black Dragon Church, while the Nether Hall was ranked second from the bottom. Although they were both halls, the gap between them was huge. Fang Yen was young. Not only had his cultivation reached the seventh sky of the Venerable Realm, but his alchemy skills were also impressive. Not only that, but he was also the third leader of the Divine Pill Hall. His status was as high as Qing Yin. He had countless geniuses working for him. Therefore, in his opinion, as long as he revealed his identity, all the geniuses in the world would submit to him. The young man in front of him was no exception. However, Lin Xian only laughed, and it was a disdainful sneer. Seeing Lin Xian's disdainful smile, the flaming youth opposite him laughed. It seems like you don't believe me. But it doesn't matter. I've met many geniuses before, and none of them believed me. But in the end, they still became my subordinates. You are no exception. The flaming youth seemed to have boundless confidence. I'll capture you first, and then bring you back for training. Don't worry, you will recognize me as your master in less than 3 days. He turned his head slightly and said to the black-clothed old man beside him, Catch him! Yes, branch master. The black-robed old man nodded coldly. Then, like a ghost, he rushed forward quickly. He didn't say much, but his attacks were swift and fierce. The claw was like a goshawk. It was very sturdy and was surrounded by countless red flames. With a blazing aura, it quickly tore through the void and grabbed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian stood in place without moving. When the other party attacked, his eyes suddenly became sharp. Not only that, but countless azure auras bloomed around him as if they were going to freeze the entire space. A blue ice fist formed in front of him and quickly blasted forward. Boom! The fist hit the black-robed old man's palm hard and immediately sent him flying. What? The black-robed old man's pupils constricted. He exploded with all his strength and quickly retreated. When he landed, half of his body was already frozen by the ice. Ice spiritual power, you are an ice martial artist. The black-robed old man's face was gloomy. He found that the flames in his body were suppressed. This wasn't good news for him, because ice and fire were elements that restrained each other. However, who could restrain who depended on the cultivation of both parties? Now, it seemed that the other party was obviously stronger than him. But how could this be? The black-robed old man cursed in disbelief. The other party was only a 20-year-old young man. How could his cultivation be higher than his? This scene made the flaming youth stop smiling. Ice martial soul, I see. No wonder you were so confident and refused to submit to me. It turns out that it is the ice martial soul, which is the opposite of the flame martial soul. However, I like to subdue people like you. The flaming youth smiled evilly again, but soon his smile froze, because the black-robed old man behind him screamed. What's going on? The flaming youth turned around abruptly. Then his pupils constricted and he was stunned. It turned out that the black-robed old man behind him was suddenly pierced by countless ice. Not only that, the ice cones were stained with blood. They froze the black-robed old man's body and formed a human-shaped ice sculpture. Dead. How could this be? The flaming youth couldn't believe it. The old man he brought along was very powerful. His cultivation was at the 7th rank honorable realm. Like him, he was also a fire-type martial artist and was very powerful. Even if the black-robed old man was Lin Xian, he couldn't have been killed instantly. Could it be that the other party's ice power was so terrifying? The flaming youth couldn't figure it out. He could only turn around and stare at Lin Xian. The flames on his body flickered. What method did you use to kill him? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. You didn't even see clearly how I attacked. You want to subdue me with such strength? Lin Xian's words made the flaming youth's face turn ugly. However, he then snorted coldly. Don't be so smug. The black-robed old man must have been careless previously, coupled with your sneak attack. That's why you succeeded. Brat, you've got guts. You actually dared to kill my people. Today, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. Not only that, I'll capture you and refine you into my most loyal servant. The flaming youth roared. He waved his hand and quickly formed a red palm. Then he slammed it forward. Wherever it passed, the air melted and space distorted. Everything around it burned rapidly. On the other hand, Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Playing with fire in front of me? You're courting death. Then he looked around. Suddenly, a ball of black flames flew out and landed lightly on the flaming palm. In the next moment, the flaming palm made a sizzling sound and disappeared quickly, like ice melting. What? It melted? Flames? How can you have flames? Seeing this, the flaming youth's face finally changed. He couldn't understand how a person could have both the ice power and the fire power at the same time. Looking at the flaming youth's shocked expression, Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Surprised? Can't believe it? I really don't understand. How can a person like you be so arrogant? Do you really think that you're invincible by relying on external forces to raise your cultivation? Let me tell you, a person like you isn't even an ant in my eyes. Because you don't know how vast the world is. I reckon that with your character and methods, you won't even survive a day in Tianwu continent. What? Tianwu continent? You're from Tianwu continent. Chapter 1332. This time, the flaming youth was shocked and he screamed. He did not expect that Su Mo was from the Tianwu continent. No wonder he was so powerful. No wonder he could kill so many people in an instant. No wonder he could possess both the ice and fire attributes. Su Mo was a genius martial artist from the Tianwu continent. No, I have to send this news back. Boy, you surprised me. I did not expect you to be from the Tianwu continent, but you are too arrogant. Do you really think you can kill me? Just you wait. When you send the news back, the Black Dragon sect will send real experts to kill you. After saying that, the flaming youth turned around and wanted to leave. You want to leave? Do you think that is possible? Lin Xian's body flashed, and he appeared in front of the flaming youth, blocking his way. You are courting death. How dare you look down on me? The flaming youth was furious. He did not attack because Su Mo was too mysterious and possessed both the ice and fire attributes. However, this did not mean that he could tolerate being looked down on. He was the third branch leader of the Divine Pill Hall and a genius of the Tianan region. Boy, so what if you are from the Tianwu continent? I will let you know how powerful I am. The flaming youth's voice was ferocious. In the next moment, a ball of orange flames appeared in his palm and floated in his palm like a cloud. Fire cloud, earthly fire, die brat. The moment the cloud-like red flames appeared, they emitted a blazing heat. The aura was twice as strong as the previous flames. I have just obtained the fire cloud, earthly fire and did not want to use it. I did not expect to meet you. Boy, you should be proud to die under my fire cloud, earthly fire. The flaming youth's voice was cold, and there was a trace of madness in his eyes. After that, the cloud-like flames quickly merged with his right palm, and his aura suddenly increased by 3 times. Ha ha! So what if you are from the Tenwu continent? I have merged with the fire cloud, earthly fire. Even an 8th rank honored realm expert is not my match. Die! Fire cloud palm. The flaming youth shouted angrily and struck out with his palm. A red palm left countless afterimages in the air and struck towards Lin Xian. This was the fiery young man's trump card, as well as his greatest reliance. Lin Xian still shook his head in disdain. Too weak. The next moment, he also slowly raised his palm, and countless black flames appeared in his palm. Then he gently pressed forward. Boom! The void collapsed, and a pitch-black black hole appeared. It was as if a giant abyss beast was going to swallow everything around it. The next moment, a strange scene appeared. Everything around him began to burn rapidly and silently, disappearing into thin air. There was no violent explosion, not even a sound. However, this silent burning was too terrifying. Nothing could stop it. The flaming youth revealed a look of horror once again, because he discovered that the fire cloud chapter he had shot out had disappeared without a trace in an instant. What kind of flame is this? How terrifying! He couldn't understand how such a terrifying flame could exist in this world. However, he did not have the chance to think about it. This was because the terrifying black flames had enveloped him in an instant. In the next moment, his palm quickly turned into ashes and disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not only the palm, but the entire body of the flaming youth was engulfed by the black flames in an instant and burned to a crisp. In the end, nothing was left. Lin Xian was expressionless, as if he had done something insignificant. He waved his hand and recalled the black flames that filled the sky. Then he turned around and left. The pavilion was still the same, but there was no one inside. Not only that, but all the forces of the Black Dragon cult around the Sword Pool Mansion had been uprooted by Lin Xian. No one survived, no one escaped, and no one was able to spread the news. Therefore, for a moment, the surroundings of the Sword Pool Mansion became dead silent. The Black Dragon cult probably did not expect their forces to be wiped out in an instant. Without any trouble around, Lin Xian arrived in front of the Sword Pool Mansion. This time, the Crimson Dragon, Murong Qingcheng, and Luo Bingshan had all come. The 4 of them looked at the ice mountain in front of them and frowned. Ruzalong set up a formation. I don't want to be disturbed when I'm breaking the ice, Lin Xian said. That's easy. The Crimson Dragon casually set up a formation that enveloped the entire Sword Pool Mansion. Even if they were to turn the world upside down inside, no one outside would notice anything unusual. On the other hand, Lin Xian stretched out his palm, and the black flames danced quickly. Then he pressed forward. Bang! When his palm touched the ice in front of him, there was a tremor. Even the air buzzed and trembled as if it could not withstand it. What a terrifying power of ice! Lin Xian was surprised. He realized that the power of ice could resist his black flames. It was unbelievable. One had to know that his black flames were not ordinary flames. They were obtained from the heavenly Netherbird. It could be said that they were extremely terrifying. However, the ice in front of him could resist it. It was amazing. It was no wonder that the Sword Pool Mansion was still safe and sound after such a long time. It was because no one could break the power of ice. Even if Lin Xian did not make a move, the Nether Hall and the Flaming Youth would not be able to break it. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's eyes focused. His entire body burned with black flames, forming a terrifying flame aura that quickly poured into his palm. Finally, the ice in front of him melted. However, the speed was extremely slow. If he wanted to break the ice in the entire Sword Pool Mansion, It would take at least 1 or 2 months. No, it's too slow. Lin Xian retracted his palm and shook his head slightly. Although he could hide it for a while, he could not hide it forever. He believed that it would not take long for the Black Dragon cult to react. At that time, they would definitely send a large number of experts. Ordinary sovereigns would be easy to deal with, but if a half-step king or the Black Dragon cult's leader personally came, things would be troublesome. He did not want to fight against the Black Dragon cult's leader yet, so he had to think of another way to save the Swordpool Mansion as soon as possible. Why don't we do it together? I'll help you break it. On the side, Morong Qingqing said. Luo Bingshan also gripped her treasured blade tightly. As long as Lin Xian gave the order, she would immediately make a move. The Crimson Dragon stroked his chin and carefully observed the ice in front of him. He even used a secret technique. Why does this thing sound so familiar? Where have I heard of it before? The Crimson Dragon was suspicious. Then he exclaimed, What? Could it be that kind of thing? But how is this possible? Why would that thing appear here? Even the Sky Martial Continent did not have the qualifications to appear here. What is it? Lin Xian asked. He rarely saw the Crimson Dragon so surprised. Chapter 1333. What? Could it be that kind of thing? But how was that possible? How could that thing appear here? Even the Sky Martial Continent did not have the qualifications to appear here. The Crimson Dragon was shocked. What is it? Lin Xian asked. He rarely saw the Crimson Dragon so surprised. Sea God ice, an extremely terrifying type of ice, the Crimson Dragon said. Then it quickly walked forward, wanting to verify it. It quickly waved its dragon claws, and suddenly a dark red light pierced forward. The ice in front of it moved strangely, and its surface rippled like water. That's right, it's the Sea God ice. The aura was terrifying, dark blue, and when it was attacked, it would produce ripples like the sea. These were the characteristics of the Sea God ice. Boy, I'm getting more and more curious about your family. They actually have the Sea God ice. The Crimson Dragon was right. He was indeed curious. First, Lin Xian's father was so terrifying. Not only did he become a king, he also controlled a dragon vein. Now, Lin Xian's family had a miraculous item like the Sea God's ice. Sea God ice? What is that? This time, not only Lin Xian, even Morong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan were puzzled because they had never heard of this name. Of course you don't know, because even in the Sky Martial Continent, there is no such thing. The Crimson Dragon explained, This is a type of ice called the Sea God ice. It is very strange. Even a king would be moved by it. In the past, there was a legend that there used to be a continent, but it was later broken up and formed many different continents. And in between those broken continents, there was an endless sea. It is said that there was once a god who descended and used the power of ice to freeze the endless sea. Although it was destroyed later on, the remaining pieces of ice gathered together and formed the unique Sea God's ice. Hearing the Crimson Dragon's explanation, Lin Xian and the others opened their mouths wide. Freezing the endless sea? This Sea God's ice was too terrifying. One had to know that although the Sky Martial Continent was huge, the surrounding endless sea was even bigger than the Sky Martial Continent. To be able to freeze the sea, one could only imagine how terrifying it was. Perhaps even a king would not be able to do such a thing. Are you sure this is the Sea God's ice? Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect his family to have such an item. I'm also suspicious. How could such a magical thing appear in such a remote place? But now it seems that it's true. It's just that there aren't many of them, the Crimson Dragon said. Even though it covers the entire mountain manor, it's probably the size of the Sea God ice. It's only the size of a fingernail. Brett, this is a great opportunity. If you can absorb this Sea God's ice, your ice martial soul will definitely improve greatly. I don't dare to say anything else. but at least it won't be weaker than the black flame martial soul. Really, Lin Xian was excited. He didn't expect to have such a fortuitous encounter. Indeed, the great dragon sword soul was the strongest among his martial souls. The second was the black flame martial spirit, and the third was the thunder martial spirit. The ice martial spirit that he had condensed the earliest was currently the weakest. Other than the great dragon sword soul, it was an offensive saint art. The black flame martial spirit came from the heavenly netherbird, and the thunder martial spirit was formed from the 6,000-year-old purple thunder divine bamboo. Only the ice martial spirit was considered his most ordinary one. But now he had found a piece of sea god's ice. It was even more terrifying than the heavenly nether black flame. If he could absorb the sea god's ice, his ice martial soul would definitely improve greatly. Since he knew the benefits of the sea god's ice, Lin Xian naturally wouldn't let it go. In the next moment, he sat down cross-legged and used his ice martial soul to quickly absorb the ice energy in front of him. This time, it could be said that Lin Xian was going all out. However, the sea god's ice was a magical item. Its power was even above the heavenly nether black flame. Therefore, even though Lin Xian was extremely powerful, his absorption speed was not fast. At this rate, it would take a long time. On the side, Morong Qingqing also frowned. No, Lin Xian, don't be too impulsive. This kind of ice energy is very dangerous. If you absorb too much, it will be a huge burden on your body. She was right. This kind of ice energy was too terrifying. No one below the king realm dared to absorb too much. Otherwise, their bodies wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, Lin Xian was different. This was because he cultivated the Angry Dragon Manual. This was an Earth-tier cultivation technique. Moreover, it was an Earth-tier cultivation technique that increased the strength of one's body and blood. At this point, Lin Xian's Angry Dragon Manual was already at the 3rd level. The blood in his body was vigorous, like a furnace, burning fiercely. Therefore, his body could withstand more ice energy than ordinary martial artists. Streams of ice energy surged out from the ice mountain and quickly entered Lin Xian's body. During this process, the overflowing ice energy made Morong Qingqing, Luo Bingshan, and the others feel uncomfortable. One could imagine just how much power of Frost Lin Xian was enduring right now. Gradually, a layer of blue ice appeared on his body. It was as if he had turned into an iceman. Although Morong Qingqing and the others were worried, they didn't act rashly. This was because they could clearly sense that although Lin Xian's body was covered in blue ice, the blood in his body was very vigorous. It was roaring like an angry dragon. At this moment, the power of the longevity art was also revealed. Lin Xian hadn't changed his cultivation technique since the beginning. Although the longevity art didn't have a grade, it was very mysterious. Even now, he felt that he couldn't see through it. Now, Lin Xian was madly absorbing the ice energy. The longevity art displayed its great power and quickly circulated in his body. Its speed even surpassed that of an Earth-tier cultivation technique. Lin Xian was like a bottomless pit. He crazily absorbed the ice energy in front of him. The ice on his body became thicker and thicker. In the end, it completely enveloped him. Lin Xian, stop. You can't absorb anymore. This is already the limit. Morong Qingqing was anxious. Don't worry, I'm fine. I have the indestructible golden pellet. Even if I'm seriously injured, I can recover in an instant. Lin Xian's voice was firm. There was no fear. Everything was within his calculations. The Crimson Dragon watched from the side and nodded. It had to be said that Lin Xian's body was too strong. It was even stronger than some half-step kings. It was very clear about the power of the Neptune hilt. No one below the king level dared to touch it. Even if they did, they would carefully absorb it. They wouldn't be like Lin Xian, who was crazily devouring it without thinking about the consequences. Lin Xian's body was indeed strong. Apart from the Fury Dragon art, he also frequently consumed old-time tea and all kinds of natural treasures. It could be said that his life force had reached a terrifying level. Don't worry. This kid won't kill himself. The Crimson Dragon God said to Morong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan. Then it looked outside and said in a low voice, "What we need to do should be to deal with those guys who are coming." Chapter 1334. While Lin Xian was absorbing the sea god's ice, the Black Dragon sect had also discovered something strange. The headquarters of the Nether Hall was located in a mountain range in the cloud region of the Xia country. At this moment, a disciple of the Nether Hall was flying towards the headquarters in a hurry. He looked extremely flustered. "Report. Something bad has happened. There has been no news from the Sword Pool Mansion for a day." Soon, the news reached the headquarters of the Nether Hall. "No news for a day? Are you sure?" The headquarters of the Nether Hall quickly checked and found that there had been no news from the 4th Division for a day. This made everyone in the headquarters feel heavy. According to the rules, every division had to report to the headquarters every day. No accidents were allowed to happen. However, there had been no news from the 4th Division for a day. There was only one possibility for this, and that was that something had happened to the 4th Division. Gather the 5th and 3rd Divisions. Hurry and check on the 4th Division. Soon, the 3rd and 5th Divisions received the order and moved quickly. They did not dare to delay the orders from the headquarters. Therefore, they rushed to the 4th Division as fast as they could. There were more than 600 people in the 2 divisions. They were all elites. The 2 leaders were 7th-rank supremacies. One was a woman in black, and the other was a red-robed old man. The 2 of them led the branch's martial practitioners to look at the 32-story pavilion in front of them and frowned. The surrounding array is not damaged. There are no signs of fighting either. Did no one come? Although there are no signs of fighting, the scene is very strange. There is not a single disciple here. The 2 of them quickly conversed, and their expressions became even gloomier. "Go in and take a look." The leader of the 3rd Division, the woman in black, said coldly as she pointed at a burly man beside her. Immediately, a set of spiritual power armor formed on the burly man's body. Then he quickly walked forward. He took a deep breath. With one hand holding a long saber, he pushed open the door in front of him with the other. Creak! The thick metal door was pushed open, revealing the situation inside. It was still quiet inside. There was no one inside. "Report, there is no one." The burly man quickly ran back. The woman in black nodded. However, her expression changed drastically in the next moment. She smelled a faint smell of blood coming from the front. Not good. The black-robed woman's heart skipped a beat. She quickly led the warriors behind her and rushed forward. By the side, the red-robed old man also moved and followed. The 2 parties quickly scouted and finally arrived at the 23rd floor. When they saw the ground full of corpses and meat dregs, they were all stunned. Some of them even couldn't take it and started vomiting. How was this the 4th Division? This was hell on earth. What shocked them even more was that all the tables, chairs, and furnishings around them were all neat and tidy. There wasn't even a trace of a knife mark. This time, there was no fierce battle at all. It was a one-sided massacre. Only an instant kill could produce such a result. A peerless expert had appeared and destroyed the 4th Division. The black-clothed woman and the red-robed old man looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. This time around, they were here to patrol under orders. But now that a peerless powerhouse had appeared, it was not a good thing for them. That was because the other party was too powerful. They were actually able to slaughter the 4th Division. If they were to fight against them, they would most likely be doomed. However, If they couldn't complete the mission given to them by their superiors, they would feel worse than death. In the next moment, the black-clothed woman took a deep breath and said coldly, "Everyone listen up. With the pavilion as the center, search in all directions. Don't miss a single spot. If you find anything suspicious, report it immediately. Focus on the sword pool mansion." The red-robed old man also gave the order to search. Then, close to 600 Black Dragon sect disciples quickly spread out to search. I hope that the peerless powerhouse has already left. The red-robed old man's face was very ugly. He was only from the 5th Division, and his strength was slightly weaker than the 4th Division. He didn't want to meet that mysterious peerless powerhouse. However, things didn't go as he wished. Just as the red-robed old man and the black-clothed woman were waiting anxiously, a warrior quickly came to report. "Sir, we found something strange near the sword pool mansion. Let's go." The two of them didn't dare to delay and quickly moved out. Soon, they arrived near the sword pool mansion. "What's wrong?" The two of them looked ahead and quickly sensed, but they didn't find anything. "Sir, it's useless to just sense this time. This was discovered by our people by accident." With that, he slashed forward with his saber. In the next moment, a light screen appeared in the void in front of them and blocked the saber light. "What? There's a defensive formation." Seeing this, the black-clothed woman and the red-robed old man were shocked. They knew that there was a formation set up around them, but the formation that appeared in the air was definitely not set up by the Black Dragon sect. They couldn't be wrong about that. In other words, someone had set up a formation near the sword pool mansion without them knowing. Thinking about the destruction of the 4th Division, the two of them quickly realized that the other party was definitely targeting the sword pool mansion. "What should we do?" "3rd Division Master. Should we report to the Hall Master immediately?" The red-robed old man asked quickly. "Humph. Report to the Hall Master? Have you found out what it is? Is there anyone inside? What kind of formation is this? What does it do?" The black-clothed woman snorted coldly. "5th Division Master, I know you're afraid of death. But if you can't complete the mission, I'm afraid you'll suffer a fate worse than death." Hearing this, the red-robed old man trembled and then said dejectedly, "All right, I understand. I'll gather people to investigate the formation in front of us." This formation was naturally set up by the Crimson Dragon. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon, Morong Ching, and the rest saw the situation outside from the formation. They didn't expect that in just a day, the other party would find them. The Black Dragon sect was quite fast. Morong Ching was also surprised, because from the other party's fighting strength and battle experience, it was a complete mess. Compared to the Tianwu continent, it was much worse. However, just from the efficiency of their work, it was not inferior to the House of Kings. In just a day, they had gathered a large number of warriors and found their location. So what if they found us? If they're not strong enough, it's useless. Morong Ching snorted coldly. Indeed, although there were many people outside, about 500 to 600 people, they were too weak. In their eyes, they were no different from ants. Morong Ching didn't even need to do anything. The 3 5-star assassins that Luo Bingshan brought with him, with the permission of the Crimson Dragon, began to move. The 3 assassins' cultivation had reached the 9th level of Honored Realm. With the secret assassination technique, they were able to assassinate a 9th level peak existence. Brothers, the update frenzy is here. I'll definitely let you guys enjoy it. Everyone has votes. Vote. Support. Chapter 1335. The 3 assassins were all 9th Heaven Venerables. With their secret assassination techniques, they could even assassinate peak 9th Heaven existences. They could be said to be incomparably powerful. At this moment, dealing with the people outside was simply a piece of cake. However, these three assassins were probably used to assassinating all year round. Even when facing the ants outside, they did not reveal themselves. Instead, they hid in the void and assassinated. Outside, the black-clothed woman and the red-robed old man quickly ordered their subordinates to gather again and prepare to study the formation ahead. Listen, the formation ahead is very mysterious. It might be where the enemy is hiding. So later you must. The black-clothed woman quickly ordered. However, she was only halfway through her sentence when her neck was suddenly pierced. Terrifying blood sprayed all over the ground as her head fell to the ground. Buzz! This scene stunned everyone. They did not expect the 3rd Division Master to die just like that. They did not even see who had attacked. The red-robed old man at the side was so frightened that he wet his pants. He was originally timid and very afraid. The scene just now had scared him out of his wits. The head of the 3rd Division Master, who had been perfectly fine, suddenly flew up and fell to the ground. The blood that spurted out all sprayed onto his face. Screams, horror, shock, all kinds of emotions filled the red-robed old man's mind. He could not imagine who could kill the 3rd Division Master in an instant. After all, the 3rd Division Master was an extremely powerful 7th Heaven Venerables. He was also very famous in the Nether Hall. At this moment, he had actually died, so inexplicably. He did not even know who the killer was. Where was it? How did it happen? He did not know at all. However, the red-robed old man did not need to know because in the next moment his head also flew. Blood sprayed into the sky. Soon he lost consciousness. The 600 Black Dragon Schools, disciples at the front, were all stunned. They didn't dare to imagine this scene. Their 2 leaders had actually died suddenly during the assignment of tasks. Moreover, they had been killed in one move. Even the 2 division masters did not know how they had died, let alone these people. However, these people were not stupid. Someone who could silently kill a 7th Heaven Venerables was definitely an extremely terrifying killer. There is a peerless killer nearby. Hurry up and run. In an instant, the 600 Black Dragon sect disciples ran in all directions. Like locusts in autumn, they covered the sky. In the sky, on the ground, in all directions, there were people fleeing. In their opinion, since the other party was trying to assassinate them, there shouldn't be too many people. If they ran in different directions, they would definitely be able to escape. As long as one of them managed to escape, they would be able to relay the news to the headquarters. They had a good idea, but they had underestimated the enemy. If it was an ordinary assassin, this method would really allow them to escape. But this time it wouldn't work, because the one who had attacked this time was a 9th Heaven Venerable. The terror of a 9th Heaven Venerable was unimaginable to these people. The 3 9th Heaven Venerables were hidden in the void, and they were like life reapers as they attacked mercilessly. That speed was extremely fast, completely toppling the understanding of these people. Because in the next moment, over 100 heads flew up and blood splattered in all directions. From an outsider's point of view, these hundreds of heads flew up at the same time, as if 100 people had attacked at the same time. However, there was only one person who did it. This was the speed of a 9th Heaven Venerable. Thus, in practically the blink of an eye, those 600 Black Dragon School's disciples were all killed. The ground was littered with corpses, and the pungent smell of blood permeated the surroundings. The figures of the 3 5-star assassins also appeared. One of the middle-aged men waved his hand, and a boundless sea of fire instantly burned these corpses. As assassins, not only did they have to be good at assassination, but they also had to know how to clean up the scene. Only then could they hide the truth and not be discovered. And these 3 5-star assassins had reached the peak. In an instant, all the corpses on the ground disappeared, and so did the blood. In fact, even the smell of blood had disappeared from the air. It was as if everything that had happened before was an illusion, and it had never happened. In the next instant, these 3 figures flashed, and returned behind Luo Bingshan. Although the Black Dragon School's disciples outside had been dealt with, Morong Qingqing and the others were not relaxed. This was because, according to Lin Xian, there were king tears in this place. If they caused too much of a commotion and really attracted king tears, then it would be troublesome. After all, no matter how weak a king tier was, they were still a king tier. They were existences that had formed a domain and were fundamentally different from venerables. Even the weakest king tier could easily kill a ninth heaven venerable. The gap between them could be imagined. Rusalong, how long will it take for this guy to finish absorbing? Morong Qingqing asked. The Crimson Dragon said in a low voice, it's hard to say. According to yesterday's speed, it should be a month. But from the looks of it today, it should be done in 10 days. 10 days? That's too long. At that time, I'm afraid it will really attract king tears. The three of them were worried, but at this moment, Lin Xian suddenly said, Don't worry, it won't take that long. You can hear? Morong Qingqing was surprised. Normally, when martial artists cultivated, they would be completely immersed in their cultivation, and they would not know what was happening outside. And now, looking at Lin Xian's appearance, it seemed that he could hear everything they said clearly. How could she know that Lin Xian cultivated the heavens' rise visualization chart? His soul power had been greatly improved, and it was difficult to find a match for him below the king tier. With such powerful soul power, it was very easy for him to multitask. Therefore, Lin Xian could focus on absorbing the frost energy while paying attention to what was happening outside. It won't take 10 days. I just need to open a hole in the ice wall in front of us and rescue my people. Then we can leave. That's right. The Crimson Dragon slapped his head. That's a good idea. Hearing this, Morong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan sighed in relief. Indeed, it would be much easier to open a hole in the ice wall. In fact, Lin Xian had done the same. From the beginning, he had chosen a place to absorb the frost energy. And now he had already created a fist-sized hole, and it was still expanding. A day had passed, and the Nether Hall realized that not only had they lost contact with the 4th Division, but they had also lost contact with the 3rd and 5th Divisions that they had sent out earlier. This caused them to be extremely astonished. They really could not understand what had happened. One had to know that the strength of a division was extremely great. Not to mention other things, the number of people in the division was enormous. If they really encountered a battle, 1 or 2 of them would be able to escape. But until now, they had not received any information at all. It was as if everyone had evaporated into thin air. Could it be the Martial Alliance? The Nether Hall's headquarters guessed, but they were still not sure. Chapter 1336. Could it be the Martial Alliance? The headquarters of the Nether Hall was puzzled. Only the Martial Alliance could go against the Black Dragon sect. However, they did not dare to believe it. This was because even the Martial Alliance did not have the power to silently destroy 3 of the Nether Hall's branches, unless it was the top expert in the Martial Alliance. However, such an expert would be under the watch of the Black Dragon sect's guardians and would not have the time to do anything. Therefore, they really did not know what had happened to the 3 branches. However, they could not just let this matter go. After all, this had happened in their territory. Therefore, they quickly sent the 2nd branch. The 2nd branch was powerful. Its strength was even more terrifying than the 3rd and 4th branches combined. Not only that, the leader this time was an 8th level honorable and 5 7th level honorables. Together with 500 Black Dragon sect disciples, they were extremely powerful. Even if they were attacked by the Martial Alliance, they would not be afraid at all. Soon, these people flew toward the Sword Pool Mansion. At the same time, Lin Xian finally succeeded in creating a 1-meter-tall hole in the Sword Pool Mansion. Although it was a little small, it was enough. Moreover, the situation was urgent, so he did not continue to expand. In the next moment, he stood up and stopped absorbing. In a flash, he entered the Sword Pool Mansion. Behind him, the Crimson Dragon, Morong Qingqing, and Luo Bingshan also quickly followed. The 3 5-star assassins stayed outside and were responsible for monitoring the situation. After entering the Sword Pool Mansion and looking at the familiar surroundings, Lin Xian was filled with emotions. 5 years. He had left the Sword Pool Mansion for 5 years. Now he was finally back. Grandfather, second uncle, my people, I'm back to save you. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Luo Bingshan followed Lin Xian respectfully, while Morong Qingqing looked around curiously. As this was Lin Xian's home, where he used to live, Morong Qingqing was especially concerned. The Crimson Dragon was also very proud. Of course, it was not curious about the surrounding scenery, but the sea god's ice. As expected of the legendary ice, although those people have been frozen, their life force has not been extinguished. As long as the ice is removed, these people will immediately come back to life. The Crimson Dragon kept nodding in amazement. In front of him, there were hundreds of figures, all of them covered in blue frost. Lin Xian looked at an old man and a middle-aged man, and his expression was abnormally excited because they were his grandfather and second uncle. The others were also his clansmen. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian did not hesitate and once again absorbed the frost energy from those people. Compared to before, the absorption this time was much easier. Although there were hundreds of people frozen, each of them had very little ice power. In addition, Lin Xian had already absorbed it once, so he was more experienced. Thus, Lin Xian's speed was even faster this time. Soon, the frost energy on the bodies of the hundreds of people in front of him quickly dissolved, and the blue frost disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, all the frost energy disappeared, and the hundreds of warriors came back to life. Crack, crack, crack. Because they had not moved for 5 years, when these people moved again, their bones made cracking sounds. However, the first sentence that came out of their mouths was, "Xian or run." Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes immediately moistened. He did not expect that even though they were frozen, his grandfather, second uncle, and clansmen were still worried about his safety. This made him extremely touched. In front, the people of Sword-Leaving Mansion were also stunned after shouting this sentence. Could it be that the frost energy has been removed? They felt the condition of their bodies and were extremely surprised. This was because they clearly remembered that they were all frozen in the end, but now they could move again. It's not a dream, it's really not a dream. The frost energy is gone. Everyone shouted wildly. Then they looked around and were all stunned. Because the enemies from before had disappeared, the surroundings were quiet, and the surrounding buildings were still sealed by the frost energy. Only they could move. However, in the next moment, all of them looked at Lin Xian. Among them, a tall old man and a square-faced middle-aged man were even more excited, and their bodies were trembling. Xian, you're Xian, They were too excited. They did not expect that not only would the frost in their bodies disappear, but they would also see Lin Xian the moment they came out. You're fine? That's great. The Lin family members cheered. No, you've grown taller. And you look different too. Old Master Lin and second Uncle Lin were very surprised. Could it be that a long time has passed? Looking at the strange yet familiar surroundings, they were very puzzled. Grandfather, second uncle, masters, this is not the place to talk. Follow me out first. When we reach a safe place, I'll tell you in detail. Lin Xian said, Good. As long as you're fine, this old man is relieved. Old Master Lin was very excited, and he grabbed Lin Xian's hand and did not let go. Second Uncle Lin grinned at the side, and the others cheered excitedly. Soon, they saw Morong Qingqing, Luo Bingshan, and the Crimson Dragon. This is... Second Uncle Lin asked curiously. Second Uncle, they're my friends. Lin Xian gave a simple introduction, and then the group of them walked out. Although old Master Lin and the others had a lot of questions, it was not the right time to ask. They could only wait until they had settled down. Soon, the group of people left Sword Pool Manor and came outside. Xian, where are we going? Second Uncle Lin asked. Should we build a new manor nearby? No, I'll take you out of Xia country, Lin Xian said. Out of Xia country? Why? Old Master Lin and the others were puzzled. Isn't it good to live here? Second Uncle Lin also asked. That's right. Our Lin family's foundation is in Xia country. Where can we go if we leave? Lin Xian laughed bitterly. He knew that these people had been frozen for 5 years and didn't know what was going on outside. Therefore, he could only explain simply, Grandpa, Second Uncle, Xia country isn't safe now. Let's talk about it after we get on the spirit boat. Then Lin Xian turned his head and said to the Crimson Dragon, Rousalong, remove the array. Let's leave. Simple. Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon waved its dragon claws and immediately removed the array. Grandpa, Second Uncle, stand back. I'll take over Sword Pool Manor first. What? Take over Sword Pool Manor? Old Master Lin and the others were puzzled. They didn't understand what Lin Xian meant. Lin Xian smiled and was about to take over Sword Pool Manor. However, at this moment, there was a violent fluctuation in the sky. An extremely powerful aura came quickly, like a demonic mountain, pressing down on everyone. Chapter 1337. In the distance, the void trembled. It was as if dark clouds were coming. A huge pressure came from the sky. It was like the palm of a demon god. It was extremely terrifying as it slammed towards Lin Xian and the rest. Feeling that aura, the expressions of old Master Lin and the rest of the Lin family changed. Fear, endless fear. They had never seen such a terrifying aura in their lives. They didn't even know what realm this aura was at. Many of the ordinary members of the Lin family turned pale and collapsed to the ground. Old Master Lin and Second Uncle Lin roared and quickly stood in front of Lin Xian to shield him. Xiao Xianran. Lin Xian's face also darkened. He looked at the sky and a cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he waved his hand and formed an invisible force that instantly destroyed the pressure coming from the sky. Rays of sword light danced and formed a huge defensive barrier that protected all of the Lin family members. Not only that, he also injected pure energy into the bodies of the Lin family members, instantly healing their bodies. Grandpa, Second Uncle, don't worry. It's fine. Lin Xian comforted them. The Lin family members were shocked. Old Master Lin and Second Uncle Lin were even more shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a method to block that terrifying aura. Only now did they realize that Lin Xian seemed to have not only grown older, but his cultivation had also become unfathomable. Although they didn't know what was happening outside, they still had experience. From that aura, it definitely surpassed the spirit-detecting realm and even reached a legendary realm. To put it bluntly, that aura just now could have killed all of them. They probably couldn't find anyone in the entire Xia country who could fight against it. However, such a terrifying aura was completely destroyed by Lin Xian with a wave of his hand. This meant that Lin Xian's strength was above that of the mysterious enemy. In the next moment, countless experts stepped through the air. They were like a dark cloud or a demonic mountain as they quickly flew over. Seeing these people, old Master Lin and the rest were even more shocked. This was because they discovered that there were a total of 500 enemies. Every single one of them had an abnormally powerful aura, so much so that one would feel despair just by looking at them. Even the weakest of them had reached the spirit-detecting realm. As for the few middle-aged men in the lead, their auras were like that of gods. They could only be looked up to. Who are these people? Old Master Lin and the rest were terrified. They couldn't believe that so many experts had appeared in China. No wonder Lin Xian said he wanted to leave Xia country. Could it be because of these people? Suddenly, a disciple of the Lin clan screamed, "Look at their clothes! They're from the Nether Hall." What? Nether Hall? This time the Lin family was all shocked. How could the Nether Hall be so powerful? They were very familiar with the Nether Hall. Previously, they had been frozen because the Nether Hall had attacked their Sword Pool mansion. However, at that time, the Nether Hall was only slightly more powerful than them. But now, these people were standing in front of them like gods. They couldn't believe it. Impossible. How could the Nether Hall have such a terrifying expert? If this is true, then the other party could have instantly annihilated the entire Sword Pool mansion. Second Uncle Lin's expression was very ugly. They are indeed from the Nether Hall. Not only Xia country, but the entire Tianan region has also undergone some special changes. That's why their strength has increased greatly. But don't worry. With me around, they won't be able to cause any trouble. Lin Xian comforted. Won't be able to cause any trouble? Old Master Lin and the rest widened their eyes in disbelief as they looked at Lin Xian. There were so many experts in the sky. Any one of them could wipe out Xia country. However, Lin Xian didn't care about them at all. Could it be that he was even stronger? Although everyone was bewildered, they could tell from Lin Xian's earlier display that he was indeed incomparably powerful and had exceeded their understanding. Thinking of this, they all calmed down. "Xiao Xian, tell me honestly, how strong have you become?" Old Master Lin asked in a deep voice. He didn't want Lin Xian to risk his life for them. "Don't worry, grandfather. I'm a little stronger than all of them combined," Lin Xian said with a smile. Hearing this, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched. He was a little stronger than all of them combined. This wasn't a dream, right? At this moment, the group of terrifying warriors in the sky had also arrived above the Sword Pool mansion. They were the second division sent by the Nether Hall. After receiving orders from the headquarters, the second division didn't hesitate and flew at full speed. Finally, at the last moment, they arrived at the Sword Pool mansion. However, what shocked them was that a hole had been opened in the Sword Pool mansion, and the people who were sealed in ice inside had actually come out. This caused the people of the second division to be extremely shocked, especially the second division leader. One had to know that back then the Nether Hall had used countless methods, but they were still unable to break through the ice. Even the protectors of the Black Dragon sect were unable to do anything. But now, the ice had actually been broken. Not only that, the people inside weren't dead. They had all come back to life. No, this matter was too strange. He had to capture them all and study them properly. This was because, in the eyes of the Nether Hall, the Sword Pool mansion must be hiding a huge secret. They had to unearth this secret so that they could obtain battle merits and be valued by the Black Dragon sect. Thinking of this, the second division leader of the Nether Hall took a step forward, looked down, and shouted coldly, "I didn't expect you people of the Sword Pool mansion to be able to come back to life. But this is good too. It saves the Nether Hall the trouble of taking action. Kneel on the ground obediently and become slaves of the Nether Hall, and I can spare your lives." The second division leader obviously wanted to intimidate everyone, so his voice was filled with endless power, causing the entire void to tremble. The surrounding mountains collapsed as they couldn't withstand this power at all. Looking at everything around them, the people of the Lin family were extremely shocked. What made them feel strange was that ever since Lin Xian formed a protective barrier and enveloped them, they didn't feel any energy threat. So now they could only see the terrifying energy outside, but they couldn't feel it at all. While the Lin family was shocked, the second division leader in the sky was even more shocked. He was obviously trying to intimidate everyone, so his voice was filled with endless pressure. Not to mention the cultivators of the Lin family. Even ordinary venerables would tremble and kneel in front of his voice. They wouldn't be able to resist at all. However, although the group of people below looked terrified, their bodies didn't change at all. They didn't even tremble. This was simply too bizarre. Chapter 1338. Lin Xian's face darkened when he saw this. Killing intent surfaced in his eyes. Since he had rescued the Lin family, the next step was naturally to eliminate the Nether Hall. He asked in a cold voice, "Which division do you belong to?" Lin Xian's voice was not loud, but it spread clearly in all directions. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the second division leader was stunned. Then he laughed arrogantly. "Kid, it seems like you know a lot. You even know about our division." "Listen up. I'm the second division leader of the Nether Hall. Today, I have brought the brothers of the second division here to capture you." As soon as he finished speaking, the warriors behind him laughed sinisterly. In their opinion, the people below were too weak. There was not even a single supremacy. Of course, they could only see the cultivation of old Master Lin and the others. As for Lin Xian and the others' cultivation, they could not see through it at all. However, looking at how young the other party was, he did not look like a supremacy. Therefore, they did not take it to heart at all. However, Lin Xian sneered, "The second division? Very well. I've already destroyed the third, fourth, and fifth division. I was still thinking of where to find you, but I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me." Hearing Lin Xian's words, the arrogant laughter above disappeared as if someone was strangling them. "What did you say? You destroyed the third, fourth, and fifth division? Kid, do you know the consequences of saying that? Do you believe that I'll kill all of you below with one palm?" The second division leader stopped smiling. His expression was extremely sinister. He naturally knew about the disappearance of the third, fourth, and fifth division. According to their guess, it should be the doing of the Martial Alliance's super elders. However, now a 20-year-old young man actually said that he was the one who destroyed it? This was simply too unbelievable. Lin Xian shook his head. He could not be bothered to talk to the other party. Then he said to Luo Bingshan, "Do it. Go ahead. Remember, leave the second division leader behind. I want him alive." Lin Xian's words made old Master Lin and the others widen their eyes in disbelief. As for the people in the sky, they started to sneer. They looked down below as if they were looking at idiots. They simply did not believe that the people below could contend against them. What an ignorant brat. He actually wants to challenge our second division? The second division master sneered disdainfully. The martial artists behind him were even more rampant. It seemed that the group of people below were all idiots. "All right, let me make a move later and let them know how powerful Grandpa is. I'm going to break all their bones and enslave all the men. As for the women, ha 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 ha. Ignorant worm, it seems like you've been frozen for too long, so you don't know how powerful we are." The cultivators of the second branch sneered and prepared to attack. They wanted to teach these people a lesson and show them how powerful they were. However, Luo Bingshan bowed respectfully. "Yes, master." Then she moved her body and quickly rose into the air. Old Master Lin and the others were very worried. "Xiao Xian, can a little girl like her do it? Don't harm him. Don't worry, the trouble will be solved soon, and we can leave this place." Lin Xian smiled. Above, the cultivators of the Nether Hall's second division saw Luo Bingshan flying towards them and laughed maniacally. "Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Do you think you can kill us by sending a little girl up? How naive. This girl has a good figure, but she's wearing a mask on her face. I wonder what she looks like. However, I've decided to catch her later and let her know how powerful I am." Those people laughed sinisterly, not taking it to heart. The second division master crossed his arms and looked like he was watching a show. In his opinion, the other party was just a weak little girl. He did not need to do anything at all. Just one of his subordinates would be enough to subdue her. Luo Bingshan wore a golden mask and looked like a killing god. Her cold gaze swept across the crowd. Then she said coldly, "You dare to go against my master? Only death awaits you." As soon as she finished speaking, Luo Bingshan disappeared. The next moment, she reappeared behind the crowd. Her slender hand withdrew her long saber and slowly sheathed it. Clang! Poof! Poof! In the sky, 500 heads flew up, and blood instantly dyed the sky red. The scene was spectacular. In just an instant, the arrogant Second Division had been killed. 500 heads flew up, each of their faces filled with horror. They did not believe that someone could kill all of them in an instant. What was even more tragic was that they did not even know how the other party had done it. Among these 500 people, the 5 7th-level supremacies were naturally included. Other than that, only the Second Division Master was still alive. However, his face no longer had the arrogance from before. Instead, it was replaced by deep horror. Shocking! It was too shocking. He did not dare to believe the scene before him. One had to know that those were his 500 subordinates. Among them, there were 5 7th-level supremacies and dozens of 6th-level supremacies. Any one of these people could wipe out the entire Xia country. However, they had all been killed at this moment. Below, old Master Lin and the rest were even more shocked. All of them widened their eyes in disbelief. The people in the sky had shocked them greatly. They had even thought that the other party was a god. This was because the aura of those people had exceeded their understanding. However, such powerful people had been killed in an instant. Moreover, the one who had done it was a weak little girl. The Lin family members' minds went blank. They did not dare to believe it. Lin Xian nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, "Bring him back." Immediately, Luo Bingshan turned around and stared coldly at the Second Division Master. The Second Division Master trembled. It was as if he was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. A deep sense of fear rose from his body. This gaze was too terrifying. Perhaps even their Hall Master could not release such a terrifying killing intent. He knew that things were not good. The woman in front of him was definitely a peerless assassin. She was not someone he could fight against. Even the entire Nether Hall might not be able to fight against her. At this moment, the Second Division Master only had one thought, and that was to escape. Escape as much as possible. In the next moment, he roared angrily and quickly burned the spiritual energy in his body. His entire body turned into a ray of light and fled into the distance. However, Luo Bingshan's expression was cold. With a stroke of her finger, a resplendent blade light quickly slashed out and cut the Second Division Master's body in half. The Second Division Master's body below the waist fell to the ground. Blood dyed the ground red, but the body above the waist was still alive. However, the pain caused his face to become extremely distorted. Luo Bingshan snorted coldly. Her 5 fingers formed a claw and instantly grabbed the Second Division Master's upper body. Then she brought him to Lin Xian. "Master." Luo Bingshan respectfully called out to Lin Xian. Chapter 1339. Luo Bingshan snorted coldly. His 5 fingers formed a claw and instantly grabbed the upper half of the Second Division leader's body before bringing him to Lin Xian. "Master." Luo Bingshan called out respectfully to Lin Xian. "No, don't kill me. Please let me go. I'll tell you everything you want to know." Hearing Luo Bingshan call the young man master, the Second Division leader panicked. He had never thought that the person he had treated as an ant would be such a terrifying existence. Therefore, he quickly begged for mercy. Although he had been cut in half, he was not dead yet. As long as he was alive, he would have a chance to recover. However, Lin Xian would not let the people from the Nether Hall go. Previously, they had even threatened to kill the Lin family. How could he show mercy? In the next moment, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the Second Division leader's head. Then he used his soul power to obtain information. Although the second division leader was an eighth heaven honorable, his strength had been raised through external means. His true strength could not withstand a single blow. Moreover, Lin Xian's soul power was too strong. Therefore, the second division leader had no chance of resisting. In an instant, Lin Xian obtained the information he wanted. This guy has killed many innocent people. His hands are stained with the blood of countless people. He deserves to die. With a flick of his finger, the nether black flame covered the upper half of the second division leader's body and burned him to ashes. Murong Qingcheng, Luo Bingshan, and the rest were used to it and did not react at all. However, old Master Lin and the rest of the Lin family were shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to have such terrifying means. He could kill a divine immortal with a raise of his hand. Lin Xian did not explain. After all, it would be troublesome to explain. It was better to wait until they were on the spiritual boat. In the next moment, he waved his hand and summoned the spiritual boat in the sky. Then he turned to old Master Lin and the rest and said, "Grandfather, second uncle, family members, let's go up." Looking at the huge spiritual boat, old Master Lin and the rest took a deep breath and quickly boarded the spiritual boat. Lin Xian did not go up immediately. Instead, he stared at the sword pool mansion behind. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed at the sword pool mansion. The gigantic palm grew larger and larger, like a dark cloud. It enveloped the entire sword pool manor. At this moment, the spirit boat had already taken off. Grandpa Lin and the others stood on the spiritual state and exclaimed as they watched this scene. The sword pool mansion was extremely majestic and huge. Even if the top warriors of China fought, they would not be able to completely destroy it. But now, Lin Xian had actually grasped the entire sword pool manor with a single hand. This was too shocking. However, this was not the end of it, because Lin Xian's next move was even more shocking. He raised his hand and uprooted the entire sword pool mansion. The huge mansion was like a city, but it was actually lifted up by Lin Xian. Immediately, a bottomless pit appeared on the ground, and the ground cracked. Countless cracks appeared and spread in all directions. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian kept the sword pool manor into the world within his body. Because the surface of the sword pool manor was made of sea god ice, ordinary storage rings could not withstand the cold air at all. Therefore, he could only keep it in the world within his body to be safe. In the next moment, Lin Xian's body swayed and he came to the spirit boat. Then he controlled the spirit boat and flew into the distance. Next, after settling Grandpa Lin and the others down, Lin Xian began to tell them about what had happened in the past few years and the changes in the Xia country. After Grandpa Lin and the others heard this, they were extremely emotional. They did not expect the Xia country to have undergone such earth-shattering changes in just 5 years. These changes were something they could not even dream of. Not only that, Lin Xian's experience was even more amazing. Step by step, he rose from the Xia country to the Tianan region. Finally, his name shook the entire Tianwu continent, and he became the top genius of the Tianwu continent. There was another piece of news that made Grandpa Lin and second Uncle Lin very excited. It was news about Lin Zhan. "You're saying that Xiao Zhan is still alive?" Grandpa Lin was very excited. "Father is still alive, and he's in the Tianwu continent. After this matter in the Tianan region is over, I'll bring you guys over," Lin Xian said with a smile. "Good, good, good." Grandpa Lin was very happy. He did not expect that not only would the entire Lin clan be revived today, but they would also meet Lin Xian and even receive news about Lin Zhan. This was great news for them. Next, Lin Xian let them rest. There was no need for them to participate in the rest of the matters. This spirit boat was very big and it was very comfortable. There were all kinds of cultivation resources, so there was no problem for the Lin clan to stay on it. "Lin Xian, where are we going now?" Murong Qingcheng accompanied Grandpa Lin and chatted for a while before leaving. Lin Xian looked at the peerless beauty in front of him and said with a smile, "It seems that my grandfather likes you very much." "Oh, right. Did he give you any family heirloom?" "Family heirloom? What family heirloom?" Morong Qingqing asked. "Of course it's a family heirloom for my granddaughter-in-law," Lin Xian said with a smile. "Go to hell." Morong Qingqing's face turned red as she lightly punched Lin Xian. Lin Xian smiled and narrowed his eyes. He began to talk about serious matters. "Next, we'll go and eliminate the Nether Hall. I can't watch them harm Xia country." Morong Qingqing nodded. She would always support Lin Xian's decision. Moreover, she had seen the Nether Hall's methods. It was definitely the actions of the demonic sect. It should not exist in this world. From the second division leader's memories, Lin Xian learned about the Nether Hall. However, what surprised him was that the Nether Hall's headquarters was in Cloud State. Moreover, it was in the Black Heaven sect. The Black Heaven sect was Lin Xian's first sect. His martial path started there. However, he did not expect that his original sect would be occupied by the Nether Hall. At this thought, Lin Xian's heart sank. He waved his hand and increased the speed of the spirit boat. Cloud State, Nether Hall's headquarters. The Nether Hall's Hall Master was very powerful. His cultivation had reached the 9th heaven of the Venerable Realm. Not only that, he controlled 8 or 9 countries around Xia country. It could be said that he was the true overlord here. However, he had been in a bad mood for the past 2 days. This was because there was no news from the people he sent out. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. First, it was the 4th division, then the 3rd and 5th divisions. Now, there was no news from the 2nd division. "Trash, a bunch of trash!" The Nether Ancestor roared angrily. Until now, he had not even figured out who the enemy was. How could he not be angry? "Hall Master, please calm down." His subordinates were so frightened that they trembled. "The 2nd division is very strong, so there shouldn't be any accidents. I think it won't be long before news comes back." The Nether Ancestor gradually calmed down. Indeed, the 2nd division was powerful. The division leader was an 8th heaven Venerable Realm expert. No one in Xia country could match him. Even those people from the Martial Alliance might not be able to defeat him. "Let's wait a little longer. Let's wait another day. If there's no news after a day, let the 1st division take action," the Nether Ancestor said. Chapter 1340. Let's wait for one more day. If there's no news after one day, let the 1st division take action. The Netherworld Patriarch said, "Don't worry, Hall Master. I'll definitely capture the enemy." A young man in his 30s said in a deep voice. He was wearing a black armor that made him look like a god of war. He was the leader of the 1st division, and his cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level Honorable Realm. The Netherworld Patriarch nodded in satisfaction. He was very satisfied with the 1st division. However, at this moment, the entire hall suddenly trembled as if an earthquake had occurred. Everyone's expression changed when they felt the impact. This was because it was impossible. Their hall was protected by countless formations. Even a 9th level Honorable Realm expert would not be able to shake it. However, such an incomparably sturdy great hall actually shook. How could they not be shocked? Netherworld Ancestor jumped to his feet and looked around in bewilderment. 2 rays of light burst out from his green eyes and swept across the area like a long blade. In the next moment, he seemed to have sensed something. His expression changed drastically, and he quickly flew outside like a ghost. When the other people in the hall saw this, they followed one after another. When they walked out of the main hall and looked into the distance, everyone was stunned. They saw a young man descending from the sky. The Netherworld Hall's headquarters had trembled under his feet. This young man was naturally Lin Xian. After he learned that it was the Black Heaven sect, he quickly rushed over. However, when he arrived at the Black Heaven sect, he realized that the situation was worse than he had imagined. This was because the Netherworld Hall had completely turned into their headquarters. The people from the Black Heaven sect were nowhere to be seen. Lin Xian looked at his surroundings and sighed inwardly. The Black Heaven sect was only a 2-star sect. It was impossible for them to fight against the Netherworld Hall. Moreover, it was not just the Black Heaven sect. The entire Xia country's sects and forces had been destroyed. Not many people were still alive. The Sword Pool Mansion was able to survive because of the sea god's ice. No one could break through that kind of ice, which was why it was intact. No one was injured and no one died. However, the other sects were not so lucky. The Netherworld Hall was a demonic sect. Their methods were extremely cruel. One could imagine the fate of those people. The old sect was no more. The only thing Lin Xian could do was to kill the people of the Nether Hall and avenge the Black Heaven sect. Just as Xiao Qin was thinking, 2 Nether Hall cultivators flew over and shouted coldly, "Who are you? You actually dared to trespass into the Nether Hall. Quickly kneel down and accept your death." In the next moment, 2 black spears shot towards Lin Xian like venomous snakes. As expected of the Nether Hall's headquarters, just the guards at the entrance were at the first heaven of the Exalted Realm. The 2 spears whistled through the air, turning into black afterimages as they quickly pierced towards Lin Xian. But in the next moment, it stopped 10 meters away from Lin Xian. There seemed to be an invisible force. He grabbed 2 spears. In the next moment, the 2 spears quickly shattered, turning into molten iron and dissipating in the air. Countless cracks appeared on the bodies of the 2 black dragon churches, disciples that were guarding the entrance. Like shattered porcelain, they exploded with a loud bang. Throughout the entire process, Lin Xian did not even make a move. He only glanced at the 2 of them, and this happened. This scene stunned the surrounding cultivators who wanted to rush over. However, it angered the Netherworld ancestor who was in the main hall. He did not expect that someone would dare to cause trouble in his territory. This was a slap to his face. If news of this spread and the other halls heard about it, how was he going to survive in the future? In fact, the Netherworld ancestor did not even need to say anything. His subordinates had already begun to gather people and counterattack. After all, this was the headquarters of the Nether Hall. There were many powerhouses here. In the blink of an eye, dozens of figures rushed towards Lin Xian. These people were all powerhouses. Most of them were at the 7th heaven of the Exalted Realm. The weakest among them was at the 6th heaven of the Exalted Realm. It was indeed shocking to see them attacking together. This was because they would only send out such a lineup to deal with the super elders of the Martial Alliance. But now the Nether Hall was using them to deal with a 20-year-old young man. However, this outcome was not something that anyone could have imagined. Bang, 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 bang. Dozens of figures rushed over at lightning speed. However, when they were about 10 feet away from Lin Xian, they seemed to have hit an iron wall. There was a violent tremor. Was this a defensive wall? It was formless and intangible. Was he a wind-based cultivator? The Netherworld ancestor narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that this young man's strength had exceeded his expectations to be able to block dozens of 7th Heaven Venerables in an instant. No wonder he was so bold to attack the headquarters of the Nether Hall. However, in the next moment he revealed a cruel smile. This was because he knew that his subordinate's strength was not limited to this. On the side, the black-armored young man from the 1st Division nodded slightly. Looking at this guy's strength, he should be at the 8th heaven of the Venerable Realm. Moreover, his use of the wind-based technique is extremely exquisite. Not bad. This is interesting. A bald, old man said indifferently. He was the law enforcement elder of the Nether Hall. However, it's impossible for him to block my law enforcement team with such strength. I think that person can only block one attack. He definitely won't be able to block the second attack. The upper echelons of the Nether Hall looked at the situation below and discussed among themselves. However, none of them had the intention to attack. This was because, in their opinion, Lin Xian was not worth their time. The dozens of Seventh Heaven Venerables frowned when they saw this. However, in the next moment, they quickly pulled out their weapons. Sabers, swords, spears. All the weapons shone with a cold light and were imbued with powerful spiritual energy. They stabbed forward fiercely. That kid is finished. Seeing this, the law enforcement elder revealed a ferocious expression. However, in the next moment, his smile froze. This was because Lin Xian in front of him had moved. He looked at the cultivators who were charging at him from all directions and snorted coldly. It was as if countless thunderbolts had exploded. The dozens of Seventh Heaven Venerables around him suddenly exploded and turned into piles of blood mist that drifted in the air. Then, a strong wind swept past and blew away all the blood mist. What? How is this possible? Seeing this, the upper echelons of the Nether Hall were all stunned. Dead. Dozens of Seventh Heaven Venerables died in an instant? What exactly is going on? They did not see the other party attack at all. They only heard the other party snort coldly, and the dozens of Nether Hall experts around them exploded and died. What kind of technique was this? They had never heard of it before. At this moment, even the Nether Ancestor's face darkened. His green eyes shone with a cold light. He knew that he had underestimated the mysterious young man in front of him. After killing dozens of Seventh Heaven Venerables, Lin Xian was expressionless as he strode forward. His pitch-black eyes were extremely cold and carried a strong murderous aura as he scanned the four houses. Chapter 1341. Lin Xian was expressionless after killing more than a dozen seventh-level honorables. He strode forward. His pitch-black eyes were cold and filled with killing intent as he scanned the four houses. In the next moment, a sharp aura spread out in all directions with Lin Xian as the center. Instantly, the surrounding Black Dragon sect disciples were terrified and began to tremble. Even the expressions of the Nether Hall's higher-ups changed. This killing intent was too terrifying. They had never felt it before. The Nether Hall ancestor's face was terrifyingly gloomy. His eyes emitted a green light. With a cold snort, a powerful force erupted from his body and swept through heaven and earth. That was the power of a ninth-level honorable. It was extremely terrifying. At this moment, it was like a demon god was above everyone, quickly blocking the killing intent released by Lin Xian. He had to make a move because the other party's killing intent was too terrifying. It made him shudder. If he did not make a move, his subordinates would not be able to resist at all. In the face of the Nether Hall ancestors' counterattack, Lin Xian did not care at all. He was like a god of death as he walked on the mountain path. This was his former sect. However, at this moment, all his old friends were gone. Only these people from the demonic sect were here. Thinking of all this, Lin Xian could not control the killing intent in his heart. All of you must die. In the next moment, Lin Xian's killing intent became even more intense. Not only that, but there was also a blue aura surrounding him, releasing a terrifying chill. As soon as the aura was released, endless frost formed around him and spread rapidly. Everywhere it passed, it seemed to become a world of ice and snow. Previously, Lin Xian had absorbed a lot of the sea god's ice's chill. At this moment, its power was finally revealed. Those martial artists who were close to the Nether Hall did not have time to escape. They were covered by the blue frost and turned into ice men. It was not just the surface. Their internal organs and blood were all frozen, and they died in an instant. Wherever Lin Xian passed, he left behind frozen corpses. Go, go, we must stop him. Seeing this bizarre scene, the law enforcement elder's heart began to pound. He hurriedly ordered his subordinates to kill this person at all costs. Otherwise, the entire nether hall would have been sealed in ice by him. In the next moment, the first, second, and third enforcement teams were dispatched. These people were dressed in black, and their expressions were cold. They were like killing machines without any emotions at all. They were originally born to kill, and their hands were stained with endless blood. At this moment, they had been summoned by the law enforcement elder to attack Lin Xian with all their might. Lin Xian's expression was cold as he punched out. Boom! The bodies of the 10 people at the front suddenly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Following this, under the effects of the ice energy, they turned into countless pieces of ice and fell to the ground. Boom! Another 10 people exploded and turned into a bloody mist. Then they were frozen again and fell to the ground. In next to no time, the first enforcement team, the second enforcement team, and the third enforcement team were all annihilated and turned into a pile of ice crystals and rotten flesh that fell to the ground. The surroundings were silent. Only the whistling of the cold wind could be heard, carrying with it a cold, killing intent. In the blink of an eye, the members of the third enforcement team were all killed, turning into countless pieces of ice that fell to the ground. The people of the Nether Hall were completely stunned. As members of the demonic sect, they had killed many people in the past. Each of them had hundreds or thousands of lives on their bodies. However, at this moment, seeing the scene, their scalps went numb. That was because they had never seen such a way of killing people. No matter who it was, whether it was a 7th level venerable or a spirit detecting realm martial artist, they were all killed with a single punch. There was no difference. It was as if in the eyes of the other party, they were all ants that could not resist at all. Therefore, even though these people had experienced countless killings, their hearts were cold and their bodies were trembling at this moment. Even the high-ranking elders in the main hall were extremely shocked. They had never heard of such a killing method before. If Lin Xian's previous actions had shocked them, the current situation had terrified them. The 3 enforcement teams each had 50 people, and they were all 7th level venerables. In total, there were 150 people. It could be said that it was an extremely terrifying force. However, such a powerful team had been killed in an instant. They could not fight back at all. This made them unable to believe it. Impossible, this was impossible. Even an 8th level venerable could not do that. Who exactly was he? The enforcement elder shook his head frantically, his eyes filled with fear. That was because he knew the strength of his subordinates the best. Even an 8th level venerable could not fight against the 3 teams he had sent out just now. However, the other party had done it. This made him unable to believe it. Could the other party be a 9th level venerable? But how was that possible? How old was he? He was only 20 years old. There were not many 9th level venerables at such a young age in the Black Dragon sect. Moreover, the Black Dragon sect had used external forces to increase their strength. The other party was not from the Black Dragon sect. So how could he have such a cultivation level? Who was he? Who exactly was he? Was he from the Martial Alliance? Or was he a powerhouse that they did not know about? For a moment, those people were all stunned. However, just as these people were in shock, Lin Xian moved again. His figure flashed, and like a bolt of blue lightning, he charged towards the main hall in front of him. In the next moment, he arrived in front of these people. With a wave of his palm, a terrifying blue palm like a dragon grabbed the enforcement elder's head. Boom! In the next moment, the enforcement elder's head exploded like a watermelon, and the pungent smell of blood instantly filled the air. Even the blood splattered on the faces of the surrounding elders. What? Impossible! These people screamed. They could not believe that the enforcement elder had died in front of them, just like that. That was the enforcement elder. He was extremely powerful and could definitely be ranked in the top 5 in the Netherworld Hall. However, at this moment, he could not fight back at all and had been killed so easily. Demon, you're a demon. Who are you? Who exactly are you? Impossible! How can you be so strong? At this moment, the experts of the Netherworld Hall were terrified and kept screaming. They were usually high and mighty, slaughtering the people of the Xia country and looking down on everyone else. However, they did not expect that one day they would become lambs waiting to be slaughtered in the eyes of others. At this moment, they finally experienced the fear of the weak. This fear was like a demon that suppressed the pain in their throats and pulled them into the abyss of hell. Who am I? I'm a disciple of the Black Heaven sect, and I'm here to seek revenge. Lin Xian's voice was cold and filled with endless chill. What? You're a disciple of the Black Heaven sect? That's impossible. How is this possible? Hearing this, the elders of the Netherworld Hall were terrified. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.